Paul, nilikuwa na Zuba.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway,
Zuba inaruhusiwa.
Yeah, imeruhusiwa kabisa. Yes, this morning I was having a chit chat with our security officer, and then he reminded me that the rains have refused to come. So he was telling me that God is angry with us.
God told him.
No, of course, I'm not sure. Maybe God told him directly, but he was just telling me that Mungu ni kama amekasirika Nikamuuliza kwa nini? Hii mvua imekataa kukuja.
But it rained just the other day.
The season hasn't been as solid as it used to be in previous years. Well, I remember last year at a time like this, we had a significant amount of rain. We had mud all over. I've been driving on dry roads for weeks on end.
Weeks on end?
Yep.
I thought it rained just the other week.
But that's just one day that rained.
Yeah.
We're talking about consistently for like 3 weeks. Every single day, mnaona mvua. Nothing.
Let me perhaps speak a little truth to this particular subject.
Right.
I have no idea when it is a long season, short season, rainy season. Yeah. I know because I can see the rain.
Yes.
But it's going to rain now because I have no clue. I used to.
Yeah.
There were short rains. Then somewhere along the line, things went a little haywire.
Yeah.
And I could no longer determine, so I stopped bothering. So this is how I function. When it rains, I'll tell you it's raining. Like now it isn't raining.
Yes.
I'm thinking, oh yeah, it isn't raining. Yes, it isn't raining. Dry season, hot season.
Yeah.
When it's hot, I'll know because I'll be feeling hot.
Well, I usually feel like it's been hot throughout for the last maybe 3-4 years now. The cold season, which is usually that
3-4 years.
June, July period, June, July, August, when we expect it to be like really cold. Like this year, I can't even remember it being cold.
Oh, yeah. It's supposed to be cold.
Yeah.
Right.
During July all the way through August.
Yes. It's supposed to be cold.
Mwaka huu sikumbuki hata kidogo nikisikia baridi.
Pole lakini. Pole. Are you okay otherwise apart from you mafua ambao?
No, niko sawa.
Imeonyesha dalili ya kunini?
Kwa sasa niko sawa kabisa.
Isipokuwa hiyo homa ambayo imekutembelea kidogo.
Isipokuwa hiyo homa kidogo imenitembelea, niko sawa. But tunashukuru Mungu na tunasema pia wewe kama uko na homa pole tena sana. Ama kama unaugua kwa njia yoyote ile nyingine.
Unashukuru nini haswa?
Tunashukuru Mungu kwa sababu tuko na uhai na tuko na nguvu ya kukua ya kufanya mambo ya kutenda. You know there are people who are sick and then they become bedridden, they can't do nothing.
Absolutely true.
If you go to hospital right now and you go to like the cancer wards and other wards that I do not know right now, but at ICU, HDU, people are bedridden, they can't move, they can't do nothing, they don't even know whether they are alive or dead. So we thank God because ni homa tu, siku 7 homa inaisha, inasambaratika. All right, a big shout out to Don Sabwa, who's saying Kenya's by-election was marked by repeated incidences of violence. Kenyans are bitter, City. What about you? Violence after violence after violence plus violence. So what about you, City? People are bitter according to Mr. Don Sabwa here.
Yeah, what are they bitter about exactly?
I don't know, but perhaps politically.
About what?
Otherwise, economically. Yeah, people are bitter.
Okay.
According to Don.
Well, Don, why do you think they are bitter? Because there was violence. Is it violence that we normally witness during an electoral period, or is this is extraordinary violence that is really excessive? What are you referring to?
Well, according to Don, if I'm getting him right, he just means the reason why we are seeing violence all over is because people are angry, whether at each other or angry at the political class or just angry at whatever life is.
So this violence, are we saying it was spontaneous? Are we saying that it was paid for, plug and play, after having been paid?
For example, some politicians were roughed up yesterday.
Oh, a good number. A very good number were roughed up.
Yeah, so they were roughed up by the citizens who probably were questioning their presence at the polling stations or questioning the activities within the polling stations or around the polling stations.
So I heard that, I don't understand it. Are we saying that their presence at the polling station was, should we say, gave bad vibes?
Well, there are some who are accused of voter bribery.
Accused of voter bribery?
Yes, they were being accused of voter bribery. Others were accused of...
So the people who are protesting are those who hadn't received the bribe, or people who are against the bribery altogether?
Perhaps both. Because again, I'm not on the ground. I really don't know what exactly was transpiring. But yes, you could say it's because perhaps of one or both of those reasons.
There's a gentleman who's been in this studio called Peter Kaluma, MP for Homa Bay Town.
Yes.
He was clobbered. In fact, his head was bleeding.
Yep. I saw that picture of him bleeding from somewhere.
The head.
Yeah.
It was on his shirt. Yet he seemed very calm about it.
He's a politician. Perhaps I would say he was being diplomatic about the situation, pragmatic perhaps. I don't know.
Even the governor of Homa Bay and her bodyguard.
Yeah.
So there are stories of a weapon being lost. Yes.
I've seen a video this morning of CS Dr. Mutua being chased from one of the wards that was having elections.
Chased as in told to go away, or him running and people after him?
Watu wako nyuma yake wakimwambia toka hapa, and of course his bodyguards plus armed police just escorting him out safely. He didn't run.
Which part of the country?
There was some election happening in Mumbuni. Mumbuni iko mahali kwa Ukambani. Sikumbuki in which place exactly, but Mumbuni North ilikuwa inafanya by elections pia. It was a ward. So the people of Mumbuni wakama
did not want him. All right.
Jamaa akatokezea pale wakamwambia akasee kanyanga kumbwa. Unafanya nini hapa wewe? Wewe hata unapinganga kura hapa. Kura yako umechukulia wapi? Walikuwa wanamwambia my friend, hebu toka hapa, kama unanjua upigi kura usikuja hapa kutuzia zera zenye ziko. Na wewe ni agent. Wewe ni mtu wa serikali, wewe ni cabinet secretary. Cabinet hiyo ni inafaa kuwa non-partisan. Haufai kuengemea pande fulani, toka hapa. And he was actually frog marched. Well, not frog marched, but he was marched out by the people.
Yes, he was encouraged to leave.
Yes. And you could, from what I saw, the crowds were really behind him in terms of just ensuring that he has left the premises.
But no harm came to him.
No. Wakamba hatukwangi na vita, by the way. Umesikia vita ilikuanga Homa Bay, umesikia vita ilikuanga kule Malava, umesikia perhaps kulikuanga na vita sehemu nyingine, lakini Wakamba we are calm. We don't like antagonizing. Unaonanga hata Kalonzo yeye anakuanga ametulia. Hata akiambiwa yeye ni watermelon, anatulia tu kama hiyo watermelon. Asinisikie. So we are calm people. We are really calm. Hata Alfred Mutua venye alifukuzwa, he walked out. He didn't perhaps brandish a weapon. His officers did not also brandish weapons. He just agreed and he was like, okay, hamunitaki, I'm out. But in other areas, I saw also former CS JB Muturi trying to he was having an altercation with someone, apparently an agent of his opposing party, and he almost roughed this guy up. Had it not been for his aides, and this is Justin's aides, huyo jamaa angeona siku mrefu sana, angetandikwa, angeshikwa huko Mbere North. Big shout out also to John Mutua, anasema Mbuvi NCT, niko tuned in, happy to see you this morning. Well, John Mutua, welcome to the show. And so Don Sabo amekujibu, amesema yes, cause of the height of fighting all over. I hope you amekujibu. Alright City, leo methali inatoka pande gani?
Bado tuko inchi ya Seychelles, siku yetu ya mwisho. Last day.
Hiyo ndio Waswahili wanitanga ushelisheli.
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 Yes, na wananchi wa nchi hiyo wanaitwa washelisheli.
Washelisheli.
Na mmoja wao anaitwa mshelisheli.
Naam. Sasa mshelisheli mmoja, mhenga mshelisheli, alisema vipi? Tusomee methali basi.
If a little tree grows in the shadow of a large tree, it will die small.
Come again, if a little tree
grows in the shadow of a large tree, it will die small.
Yeah, because it doesn't get enough sunlight.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't get enough rainfall.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't get enough nutrients.
Yes. If it's a shrub, it will do fine. That canopy, that cover will actually suit it fine. Okay?
Yeah.
And water will drip from the leaves. It will be sufficient. Yes. But if it's a tree,
hapo iko shida.
Shida.
Na wahenga pia wa huku Kenya waua wanatuambia, ama walituambia wakati wao, ya kwamba you have got to move out of your parents' shadow, for example. So that you can be able to become your own person.
Yes,
that's that.
Ile own person. Na wewe ni mtoto wao jamaa, sio? Own person.
Own person. Sababu si kujiza. But also, even as a let me take an example of a man, because now I'm a man. You cannot stay with your parents forever and ever. Amen.
Umeambiwa nani?
Forever and ever.
Umeambiwa nani? There are people now who are around your age but wanaishi na wazazi wao.
And I'm sure there's a very good reason as to why they're there.
That's precisely my point.
Yes, there's a very good reason.
That's my point.
But if you're able, okay, because you see, I can't dictate how people will live. But if you are able to move out of your parents' shadow, let me call it a shadow.
Move.
Please do. You can always rely on them. You can call them when you're in trouble. You can even call them when you need some cash here and there. But if you can't just be a man or a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even ukitaka kupata bibi, for example.
Wewe tafuta yako.
Bibi hata kuja mahali wazazi wako.
Atakuja.
Sababu, no. You're living with your folks in the same roof, under the same roof.
Atakuja.
Ai bro. Acha nikwambie, inakuanga shida.
There are people who live with their parents and they have a wife and they have children. So story hiyo.
Sasa mnapitana, you can imagine your wife anapitana na baba yako hapo when your father is in a towel. He is moving from the bedroom, perhaps going to the kitchen to make a sandwich. Ametoka bedroom na towel, anaenda hivi across. Bibi yako wako hapo pia.
Wewe bro, nunulie babako gown.
No,
mambo ya mzee baba kutembea na towel kwa nyumba, hata kama nyumba ni yake.
Avoid. Your father has got the freedom to live the way he wants in his house. So your wife again also she wants to move from one room to the other.
Pia amevaa towel.
Sasa wanapitana hapo na mzee shwari.
Na wote wamevaa towel.
No. Even wewe kama mwanaume tu you are crisscrossing with your mother there.
Na pia wewe umevaa towel.
No, you shouldn't. Me, I wouldn't. It's an African. Hizo vitu tuachie wazungu.
Let me explain to you what I am saying so that I repeat it with clarity.
Yes.
Not in some other country.
Okay.
In this very country.
Yes.
There are people who live with their parents and they are your age.
Okay.
The number isn't astonishingly large.
Yes.
But they exist.
Okay.
So, and some even have wives, some even have children.
But Titi, I want you to discourage that behavior. Please.
Now, you have made it personal. So, I was not giving you my opinion on that particular subject.
No, you are stating a fact.
Thank you
which is
so
true.
much.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I also know people who live with their parents by day. But every time we meet, I tell them, sir, move. And amulizanga unataka hata niambie unataka tufanyaje ndio toke. I'll even call our alumni groups if you have to tuchange. But you have got to leave that place. Give us a business proposal, we see how we can sort you out. Tell me of a project you'd like to start. We see how we can.
Lakini toka kwa nyumba.
Toka bwana. You also want to have an intimate moment with your wife. You can't do that comfortably with your parents around. Even your parents want to have intimate moments. They can't do that comfortably with you around. So, we cannot encourage adults to live with their wives in their parents' houses. Hiyo nao nimekataa.
Okay. Wajua wamekusikia.
Nell anasema good morning fam. Well, good morning Nell. Haya, leo ni 28th. We checked yesterday and we saw that indeed this day is significant, but nothing is on record currently. But let me just check before I dismiss this whole thing and say there's nothing that happened. So November 28th is remembered in 1920, for instance, the first American superhero film, The Mark of Zorro, premiered in New York. Have you watched any of the Zorro films?
Yes.
I like the version.
Kuna jamaa moja anaitwa Antonio Banderas. Yeah, huyo Bandera huyo. Yes. Very good.
Antonio Banderas. And then in 1959, the Antarctica Treaty was signed, setting aside Antarctica for peaceful scientific purposes.
Nani aliamua hiyo?
In 1959, sasa hapa hawajasema ni nani haswa.
Na waliuliza wenyeji wa nchi hiyo.
But I'd like to believe Antarctica ina wenyeji haswa. Lakini nani?
Iko.
Nani?
Wenyeji is not the people who are staying there, the people who claim the sovereignty of that particular region. That's what I mean.
And who are they?
I have no idea. That's what I'm asking.
I think Antarctica actually is claimed by China, Russia, US. So they found a way of subdividing it. And I think, of course, the UK.
Yani wao waamuzi wana subdivide kwa sababu wanaweza.
Yeah, actually, let's just do a quick Google search and see who owns. Well, I know it's not owned.
Oh, it's owned. I would actually seek to find out who owns it or who imagines they do.
All right, so here is what they say. No single country owns Antarctica.
That's a lie.
It is governed by the International Antarctic Treaty System. While 7 countries have made territorial claims, these are suspended under the treaty, which designates Antarctica as a continent for peace and scientific research only. The treaty, signed in 1959 and effective since 1961, sets aside all territorial claims and promotes international cooperation and demilitarization. They're not telling us the countries. They're here. So 7 sovereign states, that is Argentina. Then we have Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom have made 8 territorial claims in Antarctica. Sasa? Yeah. Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom. Those are the folks that have said, happening home.
You know, that is how they started. There were around 12 nations who signed this treaty. As of now, by 2024, the number had grown, my friend.
Yeah.
There are now 56.
56 countries
who had signed on to that particular treaty.
Oh, the treaty itself.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. Then there's Douglas Kibogonga amesema morning, the able team. Good morning, Douglas. Alafu Walid I hope I'm saying this correctly. Walid Bakhtir. Good morning, Intellect City Muga. Your wisdom should lead this country as the president, sir. Big respect. When are you launching your manifesto, bro?
For
President of the Republic of Kenya, or POK, as they call it.
You're talking about me?
Yes, City Muga. Someone is endorsing you for president here.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. When are you launching your?
You are very kind. Thank you.
Your campaigns. For president, bro.
No, I'm asking because I thought he was just
joking.
Not joking. He's wishing me well, and he's expressing it in a manner that he thinks would be suitable for me to feel well. And I've thanked him.
Okay.
But I have no wish to launch a manifesto. I have no wish to declare that people have convinced me that I should serve them in any capacity.
Yeah.
The name of that individual?
I'll just read the first part because I'm Walid.
Walid.
Yes.
Let me thank you profusely. Paul and I are doing our contribution right here. And this is adequate, and we're happy with our contribution. But thank you very, very, very much.
Right.
The thing about the presidency, there can only be one. But this work that we do, there can be many of us.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. We thank you for listening.
Yep.
And we thank you for the endorsement.
All right.
Yes.
I'll talk to Kalonzo Musyoka, Daktari Kalonzo Musyoka, to see if you can be his running mate. Niko na namba yake, nampigia simu.
Running mate, yakufanya nini?
Ukwe vice president and then deputy.
Make up your mind. So is it new president or new vice president?
Hapana, akishamaliza 2 terms zake na wewe sasa ukwe the next term. Tuingia hapa kwa Radio Generation.
Well, that term I'll be as old as beer.
Paul Biya is president at 92. Sembuse wewe.
No, I will not be 92. I'll be younger than that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can, and even Maraga is older than you and he still wants to be president.
Those people are not older than me. They're infinitely older than me, Chief.
Exactly. Huh? So if Maraga can do it.
You know, I was actually just born in the previous century, not in the Stone Age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
but you know you're a pre-colonial birth. So
yes, that is absolutely accurate.
Yes. So
yes.
Tena
vizuri.
Umekula chumvi.
Baba. Carbon dating can be used here.
Hebu tusome hizi story haraka. So why don't you log on to radiogeneration.co.ke for all the latest trending stories that have been taking place around the country and around the world. ODM's Moses Omondi clinches Ugunja by elections and calls for cooperation. This is Moses Omondi.
Right.
Yeah.
Cooperation with?
Cooperation for he just calls for cooperation. Acha tusome kidogo amesema nini. Moses Omondi of the ODM party has been declared the winner of the Ugunja constituency by election, receiving a total of 9,227 votes. So that means if everyone on my X account votes for me, I can actually beat this guy, eh?
Something of that sort, my man. Something of that.
So the results reflect strong support for Omondi in a contest that attracted attention from across Siaya County. Orodi Odhiambo from the Wiper Party came in second with 1,819 votes.
Second.
Oh yeah, well Frederick.
Those are the details. He was second. That's a good showing, which means Wiper has a presence.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, in Ugunja.
While Frederick Ochiel of the UDM party secured 1,200 votes.
Excellent.
And then others came huko chini, they divided.
The other places?
Nikianza kusoma hapa ni watu wengi by the way. Ni watu wengi sana hapa hivi, but anyway there are some people like for example a guy called Benson Obol, there's Maurice Okumu, Vincent Olengo.
Sorry, I go to another place bwana.
Oh, another location.
Yes.
All right.
Sio jamaa mzee. 1 2 3 tushajua tosha hiyo.
Aya, alafu ODM's Boyd Were triumphs in Kasipul. So the son of the late Were is now their MP. He garnered 16,819 votes. This is also another ODM candidate. Boyd Were, representing the ODM party, has emerged as the winner of the Kasipul parliamentary by-election, taking over from his late father, Charles Ongondo Were. The IEBC confirmed that Were collected 16,000 votes, surpassing independent candidate Philip Aroko, who received 8,000 votes. Okay, so independents walikuja mbio pia. Aya. Then nani mwingine ameshinda kiti ama amekamata? We have DCP Aduda Okwiri wins Kisa East Ward with 1,952 votes. Wipers Anthony Kisoi wins Mumboni North Ward, securing 3,849 votes. UDA's Vincent Ruto secures Chemundu Kapngetuni MCA seat. Hey. Then we have Mpusia clinches Purko ward seat in high turnout by-election. DCP's David Wanyoike Warui wins Kariobangi North with 2,282. And then, I'm looking for uko kwa Wamudhende kunaitwa jitena Mbere North. Oh my goodness. Acha tuone. Hizo ndizo zilikuanga hotly contested. How comes I can't see anything about Mbere? So we can see Mpusia. Ama hizo bado zijatokezea. Oh my.
Bado na contest.
Oh my. Sasa okay, if Bradley Bosire, if you're listening to me, Tanya Wanjiku, if you're listening to me, someone send me the report for that particular area.
Tusome wananchi wasikie. Sawa.
Anitumie hizo kwa WhatsApp haraka nione kama naweza kuzipata, alafu tuweze kuziangalia. I actually don't know who won. Let me see if I can just Google. Now the problem with Googling,
relax. Those guys will send it. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, the problem with Googling, you might get incorrect information.
They might give you the last election results.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, but anyway, there are some 17 folks that were arrested yesterday over armed violence. Am I getting this right? Kasipul by-election, police detained 17 armed youths. Yeah, so 17 armed youths. 17 young people were arrested in Kasipul constituency after police intercepted them moving through the area with machetes and other crude weapons. Authorities have confirmed this. Now, the arrest came amid heightened security during the by-election, following reports that the group was using pro-box vehicles to intimidate residents. Rachuonyo Sub-County Police Commander Philemon Saira said law enforcement acted promptly to prevent any disturbances in the constituency. Law enforcement agencies are determined to maintain order and ensure a peaceful voting process, according to the police commander. Yeah. So, Homa Bay County Police Commander Lawrence Koilem said inquiries were underway to determine the full extent of the group's plans. He warned that no disruption of the electoral processes would be tolerated. Yeah. So that's that as far as hiyo vita iko concerned. Ya sehemu za Homa Bay County. But interestingly enough, if you look at if you look at the election process yesterday, it was largely peaceful, apart from the few places where we saw rather shidana. For example, mheshimiwa tumumita nani tena wa Homa Bay, Kaluma. Apart from that, I actually haven't heard of anywhere else where kulikuwa na shida. I also saw pictures of like in Kariobangi North. I saw some folks who walikuwa mezingirwa na the public. The public wanted to lynch them. Actually, several MCAs from that area walikuwa wameshikwa, karibu watandikwe a proper one. Gerald Sakwa amesema, morning, you're not giving us by-election results. Gerald, we have just mentioned some of them. And you can actually log on to www.radiogeneration.co.ke to capture majority of the results that came in through from yesterday. So don't worry. Nimekuambia kwa mfano, wale watu wameshinda huko Kasipul. Nimekuambia watu wa Let me read that again in case you've just not heard it. ODM's Moses Omondi clinches Ugunja by-election and calls for cooperation. He's the new MP for that area. And then we have Boyd Were, who has triumphed in Kasipul with 16,000 votes. DCP's Aduda Okwiri won the Kisa East Ward with 1,952 votes. And then in Chemundu Kapnyetuni ward, we have Vincent Ruto, who has clinched that position. Then in Mumbuni North, there is a gentleman called Anthony Kisoi. He is their new MCA. And then we have Mpusia, who has clinched the Purko ward seat. Mpurko iko wapi sasa? Purko iko wapi? Then we have David Onyoike, who won the Kariobangi North seat. Let me just confirm. Purko iko wapi? Purko ward. A busy day at the polling station in Purko ward ended with Amos Mpusia of the UDA Alliance taking the lead and being confirmed as the new MCA-elect, closing a by-election that drew strong public interest and steady participation throughout the day. The ward went to the polls to fill the vacancy left earlier in the year after the passing of former Representative Simon Saitoti, prompting a contest that brought together candidates from 3 major parties in the county. Sasa si umesikia. I hope you can if you can just log on there, you'll get a detailed report of that particular contest. All right, let's move on to another story. Mombasa court jails man for 10 years over 2.4 million elephant tusks. 10 years. A Mombasa court has sentenced a man to 10 years in prison in a major boost to the government's campaign against wildlife trafficking. The ruling follows the conviction of Abdi Muhammad Ali, who was found in possession of elephant tusks valued at 2.4 million and engaging in illegal wildlife trade. Senior resident magistrate David Odhiambo delivered the judgment after Principal Prosecution Counsel Barbara Sombo successfully demonstrated that Abdi had violated key provisions of the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act. All right. So ukipatikana ukiuza tembe, hizo ni meno za ndovu by the way, ama meno za tembo, wewe jua uko kwa shida. All right, let's get on to our traffic update and see what's happening on the roads of Nairobi. So in case you're driving around those particular areas, let's see where you could be stuck. Traffic. All right, taking a look at Ngong Road at this particular hour. Let me see spots where there could be traffic. For instance, there's this junction at Ring Road, Kilimani. When whether you're coming from areas of Prestige or going beyond, there's a little bit of traffic there. Then there is, let me see where this is. Oh yeah, if you are at the Nairobi Funeral Home roundabout, that place right now is packed because of course folks are trying to get in and out of that particular roundabout. So you might encounter slight traffic, but beyond that, everything looks good. And then there's this road known as Agweng Skodek. Agweng Skodek wanasema kuna shida pale karibu na the Nairobi Hospital Junction, but beyond that you guys are moving quite well. Actually, it's just a yellow line. No problems indeed as far as movement in that area is concerned. Dennis Street. If you're approaching Dennis Street Road from where? Where is this? Yeah, from Cotton Avenue. Yes, there's a huge traffic jam, but it's only extending for maybe about 200 to 300 meters. Then after that, it opens up. If you are coming through from where is this? All right, so Kenyatta Avenue traffic also. If you're approaching it from Valley Road, a little bit of traffic there, but things are moving nonetheless. Counter Street, naona huko pia kumeshikamana. I'm assuming this is because of the very many bus stops that are there. People trying to leave Nairobi County. Also, if you're on Kenneth Matiba Road, up on the road, the entire road is actually red. So that means you guys are not moving. Around the areas of Taveta Road and Taveta Lane, Savo Road, kule, traffic imeshikamana kwa sasa. And then last but not least, as far as Nairobi is concerned, Mombasa Road not looking bad. Yeah, but a little bit of traffic as you're approaching General Motors, Samia Park, thereabout. Let me see what's happening in Mombasa at this particular hour. Mombasa wasema hivi. Nikiangalia sehemu za Kongowea mko sawa, nikiangalia sehemu za Kengeleni Bell pale kuna shida kidogo, lakini barabara inafunguka ukishapita hiyo sehemu. And then I'm looking at Nyali Bridge also, no complaints. Yeah. but a little bit of a yellow line, but I'm assuming this is because of the junctions that you guys are approaching there. But beyond that, everything is looking good. Ronald Ngala in Mombasa, hapo pia kuna shida kidogo ukielekea sehemu ya Tomboya. Alafu last but not least, hapa ni Coinage Road. If you're approaching it from Ronald Ngala, iko na shida kidogo. All right, so if you see anything on the roads that you think I should know about, well, you know where to find me. Holla at a brother.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Let's take a look at the papers this morning and what's making headlines. Let me start with the Business Daily. Pressure on banks as new loan pricing model starts on December 1st. So UBA sets the pace for rivals with the base rate cut to 11.78%. KCB, ABSA and DTB have already issued notices to customers. Yeah, this is what is on the front page there. US flags lengthy approval process for Kenya work permits. Now the US Department of State has flagged lengthy bureaucracy as one of the major hurdles hurting the entry of foreign investors into Kenya. Okay. Assembled vehicles rise 11% as more models introduced. Uchumi share price triples in 2 weeks on rare profit. Uchumi supermarkets bado ziko. Have you seen any branch? Uchumi supermarkets share price has nearly tripled in 13 days of trading on the Nairobi bourse on increased speculators' interest after news that the struggling retailer had posted a rare profit of 8.8 million for the year ended June 2025. Is there an Uchumi supermarket?
Where are they exactly?
Has anyone shopped at any Uchumi lately? Ama they changed brand names? Or they changed their colors? Because I do not know where I can find a single Uchumi supermarket.
I do not know about Uchumi supermarket. No,
all right. Our policy elite treat inequality as something unfortunate but inevitable, never as a crisis demanding intervention. You can read this by Jaindi Kisero on page 9. There's a gentleman we hosted here last week, Robert Ocheng. You can see his picture here. Robert Ocheng.
In the live section of the Business Daily.
Yes, the live section. Robert Ocheng, founder of financial advisory firm Abujan Investment, has built a reputation for making finance relatable and strategic. He explains his approach to money with the same urgency a doctor would use for health. You don't wait until you're sick to care about your health. I actually like this. When we had a conversation with him here last week, I actually liked some of the things that he said, and I hope you guys watched that particular episode. If you didn't, you can find it on our YouTube channel, that is Radio Generation Kenya, and the one that tulisema nini na Bwana Robert Ochieng. ESG integration is now the deal decider in East Africa. Sorry. East African investments. Sustainability has moved from a compliance exercise to a performance language that investors now expect. Of course, who wouldn't want to have a sustainable business model? All right. There's a quote here, they're calling it the last word. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others. Devote yourself to your community around you and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. Absolutely lovely. So that's on the Business Daily. Standard wanasema hivi, ballot bloodshed.
That's an interesting headline.
Poll violence. What would have been low-key by-elections erupted into full-scale battlegrounds as gangs took charge of polling stations, rivals unleashed hired muscle, and police watched chaos unfold across Kasipul, Malava, Nyamira, and Turkana. Voters were battered, vehicles torched, and candidates hunted down in broad daylight. The coordinated violence, brazen intimidation, and open display of crude weapons laid bare the frightening vulnerability of Kenya's electoral system. This one is on page 4. Yeah. Some very nasty pictures here on the front page of that paper of vehicles being torched. Someone who looks like a police officer bleeding from his face. Someone here being accosted by Justin Muturi, former CS. Then we can see Homa Bay Town MP pia akikamatwa hapo Mheshimiwa Kaluma. They are taking him to safety after what looks like a proper beating. That's quite sad state of affairs there.
Somebody hit him. It probably opened a crack in his head because that's where the blood is coming from.
Yes.
The back of his head. But if you observed, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, he was very stately about it. There was no drama. He wasn't yelling at the top of his voice. In fact, he went about his business as though nothing had happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then there's a story. This is on the back page. You can read more of sports, yeah? Slot feels safe as Liverpool humiliated at Anfield again. Anfield is the home ground for Liverpool Football Club, where we were thrashed.
You were a supporter of that particular team, aren't you?
Yeah. We were, thrashed by PSV. But tunasemanga PSV is from this country called
France.
Netherlands. Yep. Uholanzi.
Where
the Hague is.
The Paris Saint-Germain, that is...
No. This one has a I can't pronounce their name, but it's a Dutch...
It's all right.
Yeah.
PSV is good. Yes.
So tulitandikwa na PSV.
Passenger service vehicles.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, tusomea Daily Nation City.
Daily Nation, broad-based team in strong showing. Provisional results. UDA and ODM parliamentary candidates had taken an early lead yesterday in most of the constituencies as voting tallying progressed late into the night. However, it was neck to neck in the hotly contested Mbeere North and Malava. The story is on page 2. At the top of the paper, there is KWS now defends luxury Mara Hotel. It's called Ritz-Carlton.
Yep.
In the wild beast migration row. Yeah, but it's not just that. The story is a much larger story as to the balancing act that one needs in a lodge. How many lodges and how many hotel-like establishments can you have in a lodge that would actually balance with the ecosystem?
Yeah.
There has always been this narrative that there are far too many hotels in Amara.
Okay.
And that interferes with the game life. To understand this, you only look at places where people complain of wildlife encroaching onto their property. The opposite is the one which is actually true. We are the ones who have encroached into their property. We tended to have found them there. Yes.
Actually, this particular lodge that they're talking about, apparently it's built directly on the migration path of the wildebeest.
Who allowed them to do this? See, this is the other question, because when you have the Masai Mara is managed by the county, okay? But there is a process by which hotels are built.
Yeah.
Now, which is of greater importance? The heritage that exists and the understanding that it is the wealth of a nation which happens to be nestled in a county called Narok and should be preserved for posterity. Or are we looking at the profit that somebody seeks to, because for you to build it, it is known that this is the path. There are very many regulations that you've already abrogated. Somebody may have passed it. One has to look at how it is and why they passed it. Yes.
So I don't know how these people it's gotten to a point whereby even these tour guides are also getting to a point whereby they are protesting because they're like, now you're spoiling business for us. You're spoiling business because now we bring tourists from all over the world
to come and see the wildebeest.
Yeah.
Then when we arrive there, we find the hotel plonked right in the middle of the path.
Yeah. So tunatoa tourists outside the park from whatever hotels. We bring them in here so we can, once we show them, we take them back to their hotels outside the Mara. But now we're coming here, we can't find the wildebeest that we are supposed to be seeing because now you have disrupted their pathway.
The story is told of Kitengela.
Yep.
There is, you see, the animals have their own highway. And when you put up structures, like some of the industrial structures that have been put there, there are those who have argued that it interferes very directly.
Yeah.
With that particular highway that animals tended to use. Okay? Now, so when we talk of human-animal conflict, it is something that we ourselves have brought into being.
Yep.
Yes, we have interfered. Instead of living peacefully with our neighbors, here we are going around. And these animals give us a lot of prestige. Forget the money. This Nairobi National Park brings us money. It advertises this city, the only city in the world with a national park.
Yes.
So I'm saying, anyway, Let's look at something else.
Nikubaya.
Reprieve for tutors as TSC unveils policy on transfer after promotion. Day of chaos. Violent scenes were witnessed across several constituencies and wards in the country. Yesterday, as politicians and their supporters took their bad manners to polling stations where Kenyans had turned out to cast their ballots.
Bad manners is what they're calling it, eh?
I wish they would stop calling it bad manners.
We call it what?
Thuggery. Bad manners simply means...
I think someone has called it thuggery. What's on the Star?
The Star, violence, thuggery, rocks, mini elections. Right, now you've got it. Mayhem and destruction, correct. And disaster ahead of... no, this one is where I disagree with them.
Okay.
Mayhem and disaster and destruction points to disaster ahead in 2027 polls.
Oh, so you're saying that them likening it to the violence in 2027 is neither here nor there?
Well, they're being political prophets. If this is what has happened, what do you think the security operators will do?
Well, they should beef up. But let's just look at what they're saying for a second. These are just 24 by-elections.
And was there violence in all the 24 by-elections?
Of course not.
Yes.
But in a significant number, I think we've mentioned like how many of them?
We mentioned 4.
Well, kwa mfano.
I'm telling you, there's Malava, there's Turkana, there's...
Walisema Kasipul, Malava, Nyamira, and Turkana.
Yes.
So those are 4 areas where violence was... If they cannot just contain these 4, what about all 47 counties plus their constituencies plus their wards?
That's flawed logic. It's flawed because you'll need to look at what it is that brought about the violence. First of all, start with, are these areas hotspots that are known to have violence? And the answer would probably be yes. If there are areas that had never witnessed violence before and they're witnessing violence now, the question of why we're witnessing it still has to be asked.
All right. So you, as City, you're not a security expert, but you can already try and use some kind of logic to explain what we saw. So and you do not even have the kind of intelligence the police receive on a daily. You do not have the kind of intelligence that IBC perhaps even receives ahead of such kinds of exercises. But you can already tell that perhaps the reason this happened is because these places are usually hotspots. So if you can think that way, why can't the people who have received intelligence over and over see it the same way and in advance?
Wamechoka.
Yeah.
I've answered you. Wamechoka.
Let's also not forget there's a conversation we had here a while back with Dr. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting. Makori. Was it Makori from NCIC?
Yes.
And then we also had Bishop Ndeda with us here.
Yes.
And I remember both of those two gentlemen did say that in their own territories and jurisdictions they have received intelligence saying that perhaps there's something that might happen in 2027 if we do not take care of it today.
Look, this violence is not organic. It's not that people who are sitting and spontaneously they were moved, whatever it is that moved them. These things are planned. It's not as though in some of these areas where you are told people had crude weapons, which are described as machetes and rungus and what have you, they don't grow on trees, and neither do you pick them along the road. You buy them and then you have them. So if people were walking with them, it means they were armed, and if they're heading towards a polling station, they were purposed to go there. Okay? We've always had violence when it comes to the political season in this country. Okay? And the reason we have violence is because the politicians often politic with goons. Some are used to disrupt rallies.
Yes.
Some are used to abduct people. Some are used to simply beat up people. In cases, people have even died when some of these gangs have clashed. We have had a long history of this sort of violence in our country.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
The last national election, we didn't witness violence that you can speak of.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak, there are many people in this country who are completely disenfranchised and they're unhappy. Some will use that as the reason for this violence. Political violence is an entity that thrives on its own. It doesn't require poverty for it to thrive. It thrives because people purpose it to thrive. And they build on the bedrock of a large number of young people who do not have meaningful engagement. So they will perpetuate this violence. Okay? Now, This, as you correctly put it, I'm a layman and I know these things.
Yeah.
So again, the question is, when such violence is seen, you cannot say no action has been taken. Because people who once saw some very serious violence, 7 people have been arrested, meaning they were known.
17.
Yes.
And they were armed.
It means others escaped.
They were, and they were armed.
And they were paid.
And someone once told me that violence, especially organized violence such as this one, happens in waves. Kuna watu wanalitanga tu kupiga kelele, kuna wale wa kelele, alafu sasa kuna wale wanatumangwa wafanye nini? Wafanye sasa kile kitendo cha kupigana.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
There are the people who organize these things and organize them well, organize it to a T. And it's like there's a group that goes to intimidate. A show of force.
Test the waters.
Beat people randomly on, in areas where, your opposition has large numbers. So the following day they're afraid to come out to vote. Okay?
Voter suppression. Yeah.
On the day of voting, very, 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 very early, repeat the same action. Then they disappear. You will look for these people, you may not find them. In some cases, these people have been imported specifically for that purpose. Now, on the day of the election, there are people who are known to be agents of you are visited and spoken to. Told you. But we morphed. These days, we don't just threaten you. We threaten you and then we bribe you. And then we ask you if you have relatives who live far away from where you're currently domiciled. Say, this would be a good time for you to go and visit them. And here is the fare. The industry that we refer to as politics in this country has been characterized by violence for an extremely long time. And it is willful. The people who are politicians and who would be leaders are the ones who perpetrate this violence. That's what they do. They have their reasons, but it is them who perpetrate the violence.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, kumbuka kuna zamani when in the KANU days, when you had jeshi la KANU, vijana na KANU, really genuinely violent thugs who could beat you at the drop of a hat and was considered okay.
Yeah.
I still remember the picture. It's in my mind.
I think it was sometime last month. There was something that happened in Brazil. There are some gang members that were killed. And unfortunately, there was collateral damage because some civilians were caught in the drama. But they killed over 150. This is last month. 150 folks in some slum area. So you can imagine police getting into a place like Mathare, and they decide today is today. We are finishing every single gang member in that area.
A lot of innocent people will die.
Of course. Because
a lot of innocent people will die.
Yeah, when bullets are flying and some houses are made of wood and mabati and mud, that is very little defense against the bullet. And they killed over 100, let's just say over 100 folks died. And it was a serious operation. And I'm looking at a situation whereby in these areas, here in Kenya, where we are having, banditry, areas in Turkana, some areas in Mount Elgon and so on and so forth, where these people are really entrenched. If one time someone just decides enough is enough and they just draw people in there, and I'm not saying that this should happen because obviously me, I don't want anyone to die, but that is the last time utasikia maneno ya thuggery in such areas.
There are incidences that have occurred in this country where something similar has happened. Okay? And those are cases that even to date see reparation is being sought. And they refer to as massacres.
Like the Wagala one?
Yes. People talk about it harshly and then, in hushed tones.
Hush.
Yeah, and then they sort of leave it. But the number of people who over time have died during electoral periods or when people protest elections, we talk of the numbers, and these numbers are not of blades of grass. They're actually living human beings whose lives have been extinguished.
Yeah.
In this country, if we were to look at what has happened over history, this is mild. Nobody has died so far.
Yeah. Because even mambo ya voter suppression, someone just decides that you are not going to vote.
Someone decides that they want to win. That's really it.
Yes.
Yes. And the only way for them to win is if a large number of people do not vote.
Yani people do not want to lose fairly or win fairly for that matter.
Why do you bring in such a word in such a contest? There is only one rule in this particular contest. There are no rules.
That's the rule.
Yes.
We have Gerald Sako saying morning. Oh, this is Michael Olande, sorry. Nani amedanganywa na pesa ikaliwa, hiyo ndio siasa in Kenya. And then Gerald tells me there's an Ichumi supermarket in Langata opposite Uhuru Gardens. The one that is opposite Uhuru Gardens?
No, there's an open space in he's right.
Ile iko pale ukiingia Carnival.
Yes. No. That has changed. There's one in Langata. I don't know this. Is it Otiende or Onyonka? I forget which one. But
okay.
There's one. Now that you mentioned, I can see it in my mind's eye.
So the one on your way to Carnival, hiyo ilifungwa?
So ilifungwa. So there's some other business there now.
Okay. Yes. Aya. I need to look for Chumi bana. They wanted me one store is making a profit of 8.8 million.
We need to read it and look into this. There are things I don't understand about why and how it is that has happened. But as for very many of those Uchumi supermarkets closed down. Yes.
Okay. My take 2.1 anasema ati ODM is now a dead party. Sasa mtaambia watu nini? Kazi ni matusi. The worst opposition ever in the history of Kenya. The only thing wanaweza shinda labda washinde poa ama washinde njaa. Okay. All right. My take making light moment of this situation. Sharik Harib. Banditi ikiisha wanasiasa watatoa wapi pesa ya campaign? Hujaijuliza hiyo nyama yote uenda wapi? All right. Sharik akona point. If we do not have goons any longer anymore, where will politicians get their money from? Well, I don't know how goons will get. What's the business model behind this, Sharik? Let me explain here.
What?
The business model, because this is what Sharik is saying. Banditry ikisha wanasiasa watatoa wapi pesa ya campaign? Hujaijuliza hiyo nyama yote uenda wapi? Is he talking about the cattle rustling?
Yes.
So is he suggesting that meat is sold to the abattoirs?
He is suggesting that those cows have takers. Yes. There are those who suggest that if you go to areas where there's banditry, you will also find there are areas that also have ranches.
Yes.
So it is very easy for your cows to disappear into a big ranch. Okay? And then it's also easy for those cows then to find their way to an abattoir.
Right.
Yes.
You know, there's a time now that you've mentioned it, there's a time I heard of this very bad rumor, and I hope it's just that a rumor, that most of that meat most of those animals rather that are stolen from those bandit prone areas are actually brought to KMC, Kenya Meat Commission. Well,
this is a country where rumors abound. I have never been shown, or I don't know, I have not come across any evidence that supports that particular view, but I have heard it said. And I don't mention it because KMC is not the only place where
animals are slaughtered.
No, it is not. So it could go anywhere.
Around Kitengela, Athi-River, Mavoko area, Mlolongo huko, like sometime even last month, they found very many carcasses of donkey meat, of donkeys rather. They found carcasses
donkey
of
ndio what I call a donkeys ndio. Okay, hiyo donkey.
Punda ambao walikuwa wamechinjwa. And also around Kitengela they found a very huge tanning factory for donkey hide.
Yes. There are places where donkey meat is legally sold.
Here in Kenya?
No.
Oh.
There are places on the planet where donkey meat is, it is the same as game meat. Zebras are eaten. They are edible. But you need to be told that you're eating donkey.
Of course. The same way you'd be told you're eating pork.
Yes, exactly.
Or chicken.
Yeah, same way. Don't masquerade.
Turkey.
Yes. So there are people who that is what they do. Yes, because it's not as though the donkey was wearing a coat and then removed the coat and the horns, and doesn't have horns, by the way, and then took off. No, somebody
captured it and slaughtered it.
Yes, exactly, and then sold the meat as beef. Yes.
And you know, I live in that area. That is my belt. So I just hope that none of my butchers, because I frequent several butcheries, I just hope none of my butchers actually have sold me donkey meat, because I have nothing against donkey, lakini siko ready kukula nyama ya punda mimi. But I know chances are I have eaten it, because ile mutura tunakulanga, bro. When is the last time you ate mutura?
Me?
Yeah.
I eat mutura when I go to a place where I know the person. I'm even sitting there watching as the mutura is prepared.
Yes.
So I have an idea.
Right.
Okay? But this stuff that is sold, I'm not touching that stuff. I will not touch that stuff.
If you come to my home area, I'll introduce you to a place where muture nozangwa, one big, let me call it a sausage. One sausage, probably the length of this particular arm, is 100 bob.
Bro.
Yeah.
I will not eat it. Just like these salads that people like, salad. Salad. Fresh. Yeah. I won't touch it. I have absolutely no idea how it was washed, how it was. Vegetables need to be cooked.
ODM has only 3 options for survival. Sorry, they're all bad. This is according to page 5 of the Siasa Pulat on the Weekend Star. Then Maxine seeks acquittal in Assad murder trial as state closes its case. Digital Intelligence Unit inside government plan to tame youth demos. That story is on page 6. Kama kawaida, we want to take a short break right now. But before we do that, let me just remind you that today is the 28th day of November 2025. And as I told you, all roads lead to one place known as the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center, where you will find several establishments there. But most importantly, today is the beginning of the Somali Cultural and Arts Festival. We have entertainment there from live bands, comedians, and traditional dancers. We also have food. We're talking about authentic Somali meals and snacks. We're also talking about vendors who've also acquired space in there to showcase their fashion, beauty, decor, and events as well. Kids Zone, tunajua shule zimefungwa. And you're probably wondering where to take your kids on a Friday. Yeah, so you can take them to Two Rivers Lifestyle Center, where you will also get to have fun crafts for them. They'll have henna parties and a play area for them to experience all kinds of games and toys, from trampolines to go-karting. And of course, we shall have sports, friendly matches between Isli and South Sea clubs, which by the way, we had a conversation here with Sherean Kutu. She is one of the managers at the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center, and she told us hizo games zishaanza and the culmination is taking place at the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center. So why don't you make your way there today as from 8 o'clock. Kama ujamka, amka sasa hivi uanze kunawa uso, oga mwili, vaa nguo safi, jipake manukato, because today is a day to reckon. Right now though, here is the news with Winnie Maganga.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Boyd Were, representing the Orange Democratic Movement, has emerged as the winner of the Kasipul parliamentary by-election, taking over from his late father Charles Ongondo Were. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission confirmed that Were collected 16,819 votes, surpassing independent candidate Philip Aroko, who received 8,476 votes.
I now want to hand over the certificate to the MP elect. Honorable Ongondo Boyd Were.
Meanwhile, Leonard Wamuthende of UDA has been declared Mbeere North MP-elect after securing 15,802 votes. He narrowly defeated DP's Newton Kariuki, who garnered 15,308 votes.
I have made commitments not only to those who elected me, but to all residents of Mbeere North. I will be fair. I will discharge my duties without any discrimination. I will meet all my pledges. I remember mentioning on fair distribution of bursaries.
At least 23 people have been arrested and 15 vehicles as well as 2 motorbikes have been impounded after crude weapons were found during the Kasipul by-election, which was marked by violence. Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma and his bodyguard were injured in an altercation at Agoro Sari Primary School, where they were allegedly attacked by supporters of independent candidate Philip Aroko. The MP's bodyguard lost his firearm during the chaos, though it has since been recovered.
Violence or assault to the MP in the strongest terms possible, because at this age we don't need to experience such acts of violence. It was an unfortunate act. That act escalated tensions among the constituents.
The Kenya Forest Service has acknowledged the daunting challenge of spearheading the planting of 15 billion trees by 2032, an initiative under President William Ruto. The service says collaboration with like-minded partners will help zero in the gap, as only 1.25 billion trees have so far been grown since the launch of the initiative 3 years ago. Speaking at Kenya Forest Service headquarters in Nairobi, during the conclusion of a strategic partnership agreement, Chairman of the KFS Board of Directors Titus Korir said the lack of financial resources to purchase seedlings and inconsistent rain patterns are some of the bottleneck hampering the ambitious plan.
Kenya Forest Service is the lead agency that steers the country towards the attainment of the 15 billion tree growing campaign. This is an assignment and a mandate that was given by the head of state that will lead the country. And I want to say that this is a very ambitious target. We may not be able to deliver on it alone as a service. We need partners.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation, the People's Breakfast on 88.8 FM in Nairobi and 90.7 FM in Mombasa. You can catch us across all our social media spaces, by the way, at Radio Gen KE. Call us on WhatsApp 0116-928-683. Again, it's 0116-928-683. This morning, we want to talk about fertility. Understanding the in vitro fertilization process and why Kenya has passed a law in regards to this, and of course others that are surrounding this whole fertility issue. And to talk with us, or rather to have this conversation with us this morning, is Dr. Kireki Omanwa. He's a fertility specialist and the president of KOGS. Daktari, welcome to Radio Generation.
Asante sana.
Let's talk about KOGS. What's that all about?
KOGS, or COGS for that matter, is the Kenyan Obstetrical and Gynecological Society. So this is the umbrella body which takes care of all the obstetricians and gynecologists in the country. We are about 700, give or take. Very skewed in terms of distribution.
Right.
Most of us are in Nairobi. I think the lion's share is in Nairobi.
Right.
Then we have quite a big number in Mombasa, in Kisumu, Eldoret, and then unfortunately very sparsely distributed. When you talk about the arid and semi-arid areas, that is the north and northeastern part of Kenya, where we sometimes have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 consultants in a whole county.
Right. Why is that so? Why do we have fewer of your professionals in that area?
I think it is a matter of many factors. It's multi-layered. Number one, when you look at the infrastructure in those areas, it's not very well developed. Number two, when you look at the social amenities, the social life is also not very well developed. And then the distance, for example, when you live from here to, let's say, Moyale, Mandera, it is quite far. So if the amenities are not well developed and the social infrastructure is not there, and you may only be there yourself, you don't have friends, you don't have relatives, and so on. So that becomes a challenge. That is number two. Number three, maybe the working environment can also be quite challenging. Maybe in hospitals where you may not have the equipment that you need and the amenities that you need to actually do your work, because work is not only the money, but it's also the environment that you need to execute your duties properly.
So who's taking care of our mothers and sisters in that area?
Good question. Very good question.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, unfortunately, we are losing about 6,000 mothers every year in this country because of what we call preventable causes. And those preventable causes are, for example, number one is what we call PPH, excessive bleeding after delivery. And then we have what we call preeclampsia, where the mother's blood pressure increases during pregnancy. Then we have what we call maternal sepsis, infection after delivery. And then we also have post-abortion complications. We call ourselves a religious country, but I think we are hypocrites in a very big way.
How so?
Why? Because we say abortion is not allowed in this country. They have heavily regulated abortion, which may be a good thing. But then what has happened is that has gone underground. My senior colleague in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the late Professor Karanja, did a study some time ago. And actually what came out is that approximately 400 to 450,000 illegal abortions are done in this country, albeit the fact that we are a very heavily religious country.
Yeah.
So
how many again, Dr. 4,000?
About 450,000 in a year.
Yearly.
In a year. Illegal abortions.
Yeah.
And some of them do complicate and they really, really go south. So illegal post-abortion complications is one of the things that kills our mothers.
Yes.
And then the last one is what we call obstructed labor because of bad cultural practices. FGM here plays a very, very big role.
Okay. Well, perhaps we shall have time on a different day.
Absolutely.
To talk about, first of all, abortion, and specifically to talk about what is lacking in those particular areas. Is it the personnel? Is it culture that also affects, the way of life perhaps that is affecting perhaps distribution of the doctors, like you said. But let's talk about IVF today.
Paul, may I chime in?
Please do.
It's odd, this contradiction that you see. On the one hand, the discussion around fertility would not exist if people didn't want children.
True.
Exactly.
And then on the other hand, there is the story of abortion, which means there was a child.
Someone didn't want that child.
For whatever reason. Now, these stories are very closely intertwined because the abortion story is a particularly interesting one, because if you were to look at the research that has been done in this area and you look at the number of pregnancies that we term as unwanted, it normally happens to young people.
Not only, but mostly.
But majority
mostly.
of the... Okay.
I said you tend to find them. You see, an adult, when they do not want a pregnancy, they're very clear. They are of age, they are able to take care of the child, but they have a reason why they do not particularly want that pregnancy to go to term. And a suspecting youngster, these are the people who fall into the category of those whom you suggested, acquire this procedure, but sometimes acquire it in a way that actually risks their lives.
Absolutely. They try to do it at home, they try to do it with quacks. I attended a meeting once, and one of the people who were talking, it was an NGO which was working in one of the slums. And actually they said, you know what, we talk about this thing as if it's not there. In that slum, I can't remember exactly where it was, there was a gentleman who was known to be doing these procedures. And the way people knew that he is at work, quote unquote, he would raise a flag. A red flag. So when there's a red flag above his house, it meant that he's at home and
you can come for services.
And he's working.
Okay.
When the red flag is not there, he's not there. And of course, nobody would would snitch on him because
the police.
No way. Because
but I'm sure the police knew. If the public knows, the police know.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Wow. Okay. Like I said, this is a conversation that needs and deserves its own time.
Absolutely.
IVF.
Correct.
For someone who's hearing it for the first time, what is in vitro fertilization?
In vitro fertilization is actually a generic term that we use. In the past, it was used. We use the term test tube baby.
Yes.
So maybe a little bit about the history of this. The first test tube baby was born in 1978, I think July 15th, in Oldham in the UK.
Is that patient, that person still alive?
She's 47 now. She has 2 children, 2 boys.
Okay.
Yes, and Louis Brown. The genesis of this was that people have been struggling with infertility for a very long time. It's an old problem in the Bible. When you look at it, there is quite a lot of infertility. You look at Sarah, who was Abraham's wife. You look at Isaac, the son, and so on and so forth. So it is an old problem, albeit the fact that what God told Adam and Eve soon after creation was that to do what? To go out and do what?
Fill and multiply the
earth. And that definitely was not by cross-pollination. It was by by having. So essentially what God told people is that go and have sex, basically, in order to be able to have these children.
That was actually one of the very first commandments.
It was the first one.
Yes.
The other ones followed. Now, the problem comes in when your body does not respond to that command. The tubes are blocked, for example. Women have huge fibroids, for example. There is hormonal imbalance, etc. Or sometimes there is no womb at all. And the men, we also have a challenge.
Wait, someone can be born without a womb?
Yes, you can. Yes, women can be born without a womb. And the men, we also have challenges. We have challenges with erectile dysfunction. The sperms may not be there, or if they're there, then the numbers are not where they're supposed to be. They are not swimming the way they're supposed to swim. There could be a combination of these factors,
right?
And so on and so forth.
Okay.
So when this problem is there, we have an issue with infertility. Now, the first case where a test tube baby was done was created and delivered. The mother had blocked tubes, and 3 professors. They had been thinking about this process, but it took a very long time, a trial and error. And it is actually said that this couple had a first pregnancy through test tube baby, but they had a miscarriage at around 9 weeks, but they didn't give up. And the subsequent transfers, they managed to, this implantation occurred, and they went to term, and the baby was delivered.
Okay.
So we have to look at infertility as a medical problem, as a disease just like any other disease, just like hypertension, diabetes, HIV, and so on and so forth. So when you talk about IVF, it is basically where the body fails to work naturally, where fertilization does not occur where it is supposed to occur naturally because of blocked tubes, because of whatever other reason it is. So we have to circumvent that problem and get the eggs from the mother, from a woman, and we get sperm from a gentleman, and we create an embryo, we create a baby, the beginning of a baby, in a lab, quote unquote, in a tube. And when that embryo, that beginning of a baby, has grown to a certain stage, we do a transfer. We transfer this embryo back to the place where it is supposed to be.
All right.
And then we support this lady by giving her medications, and most of the time it works, and they carry the baby to term, and then we deliver. So that is IVF. However, when you talk about IVF, there is something called ICSI, that is intracystoplasmic sperm injection, where we take the sperm and directly inject it into the eggs, and then we create a baby as well.
The eggs, well, they're still in the ovaries?
No, once we have removed them, we remove them.
Okay.
You see, the first one is where we take the eggs and put the eggs and sperms together. That was the original IVF. Okay.
Oh, okay. So that I can explain it as a layman and help me.
As a layman,
yeah.
Yes.
So you take the egg here, the sperm, and then
we put them together.
No, sorry, the egg is the lady.
Yes,
the
egg.
ovum. The
yes,
ova.
the ovum.
The ovum. So you take the ovum.
Yeah.
And then it's a single one, right?
Well, it depends on how many we get. We may get 5, we may get 10, we may get more. Yes.
Then you put them in a test tube.
Correct.
Then you take the sperm.
Take the sperm.
Drop it inside here.
Put them together.
And you shake it like this, like
No, we don't shake them. Zitakufa. We put them.
They're that delicate.
Yes, very delicate. You see, when the Bible says that we are beautifully, we are magically made, we are beautifully, and it is because
Wonderfully
of that.
made,
Wonderfully made.
Right.
Because if you can imagine that we come from something which you can't see, microscopic
to what we are now.
Even under the microscope itself, you really have to magnify it about 1,000 times in order to be able to see that sperm swimming, and the egg as well. So that is where people come from. So we put them together, and then we put them in an incubator.
Okay.
Constant temperature.
Now,
yes.
So when you put them in this test tube, you've told me it's not really a test tube.
It's not really a test tube, but
for the sake of visualization, it's a test tube.
Yes.
Then now, what happens? The sperm swims to the ovum, or
exactly. What? Now, naturally, what happens is during ovulation, when a woman releases an egg, that is the way the body has been created. Their bodies have been created.
Right.
That is the time she really feel like having intercourse. And when she has intercourse, and assuming that the spouse partner has the requisite number of sperms and they are all okay, they will swim through the cervical canal into the womb, and then something interesting, the womb knows which side the ovulation has occurred from, whether it's from the left or from the side. So the womb will sort of direct this sperm and then and the left this time, and then he left and the right. So they swim through there, and they swim through the tube, the fallopian tubes. We go to class a little bit, Senor.
Sure.
So if we say my arms are the fallopian tubes, so from the left side this time, so the sperm will swim. My torso is the uterus. Is the uterus. So they will swim through. There is an opening here where my hand is connected to my shoulder. There is a hole there. So they will swim through that hole, millions of them, and they will emit the egg at a particular point in the tube.
Okay.
And they will swirl around that egg, millions of them.
Okay.
And then it is only the one which is the best sperm. It will drill a small hole on the egg,
and then enter.
And then something beautiful happens. Ni kama mtu amevaa kofia. It will remove a layer, and then the genetic material which is there
will
go in. And
also, the sperm itself doesn't get into the egg.
It gets in, but not the whole of it.
Okay.
The tail remains behind.
All right.
Sawa. So once that genetic material has been released into the egg, now fertilization has occurred.
Okay.
Now that is where the genetic material mixes and matches. Ndio maana inasema the way they have mixed and matched, mapua itakuwa ni kama ya baba, macho itakuwa ni kama ya mama, mikono itakuwa ni kama ya mama, that sort of thing.
Okay. So that is the first. that is the natural process.
That is the natural process.
Now, the one that happens in the test tube.
Yes.
Again, millions of sperm swirling around one egg.
That one egg. The same thing will happen now. That only that now it's happening in that tube, and not in the fallopian tube. So it will happen in the lab.
So the doctors create a similar environment,
correct,
inside this tube,
absolutely,
so that now the sperm and the egg can meet and do whatever it is that they need to do
outside the body.
Now, you've said when the embryo has once the egg has been fertilized, it becomes an embryo. And then it develops to a certain stage.
It grows. Day 1, it divides into 2 cells. Day 2 divides into 4 cells. Day 3 divides into 8 to 10 cells. So it continues dividing like that. Okay. If we leave it outside in the incubator,
right,
it will divide to a certain extent and then get spoiled because it doesn't have that environment to grow now, to grow further. It can only grow to a certain extent in the lab. Beyond that, it will get spoiled.
How do you implant it into the female, into the woman?
We work together with a scientist called an embryologist from the embryo. So they're the ones who actually do the work of fertilization, and then when they say now embryo iko tayari ama embryos iko tayari, now we need to transfer them. Remember this lady, we have supported her, we got the eggs out, we given her medications, we get those embryos in a very tiny tube, and then we transfer them through the cervix. If you imagine the womb as a balloon, and here where we blow the air in is what we call it's called the cervix now. And then where the air goes in so that that balloon is inflated, well, that is the womb. So we take that pipe under ultrasound guidance, and then we go in very slowly. We can see where we are going, and we drop it in the womb, in what we call the endometrium. The endometrium is the lining of the womb, and that is where the baby attaches and starts to grow.
See, and this can be done at any time during the woman's cycle?
No.
It can only be done at what
time? At a certain time in the cycle.
After ovulation, before ovulation?
When you're talking about IVF, we don't look at ovulation. We don't want her to ovulate. We are controlling the process.
So you stop the ovulation?
Yes, we don't want it.
Through, of course, medications.
Yes.
All right.
That is why it's called controlled ovarian stimulation. We are in control.
All right.
Not the natural process.
Now there's a second way of doing things, you said, where you inject the sperm directly into the ovum.
Yes.
Which needle do you use that is that small?
They are very tiny needles. Very tiny. You can't even see them properly. And it has to be done under a microscope. Very, very advanced technology. And then those sperms, they are swimming all over the place. So they have to be stopped. So a sperm is stopped, the tail is chopped off. You can almost hear them screaming in that lab.
Daktari.
And then we take the head. Basically what we need is just the head.
How do you chop off the tail of the sperm? Again, I'm going back to the Nini, you said that these things are microscopic. You have to multiply the magnification by 1,000 times.
Absolutely.
Which razor blade is that small? Unakata na nini, doctor?
Razor blade. There is a specific instrument that is used by the embryologists. They have to be slowed down a bit, and then we see those ones which are swimming very fast. That one of them is stopped, and it's chopped, and then we take the head basically, and then we inject it. So basically, we are trying to mimic what happens naturally. What happens naturally.
Sawa. I think I have a semblance of an idea.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Is it possible?
Yes.
Or has it been attempted?
Yes.
To actually grow that embryo and that sperm to the point where this particular union becomes a child outside the womb?
No.
Is it possible?
Well,
theoretically,
I can never say it is impossible, because I'm sure if we have looked into the internet sometimes, there was an article, there was a clip which was going around that Japan has developed an artificial womb. And that these wombs are there, with different medications, different chemicals, that these embryos have been put there and have grown. But I think we are very far from there. Not yet. Not yet, but I can't put it beyond human because if we can create embryos in the lab, then there is a possibility that can also happen. Whether it will happen in our time, I don't know, but I can't put it beyond our capabilities.
All right.
When you look at the number of individuals who seek this particular service,
yes,
would you say the numbers are growing? And if they are growing, are they growing at a very fast rate? And what are some of the reasons why you see this particular process growing?
Thank you very much, Siti, for that question. Actually, we could talk about epidemiology or the prevalence of a disease. When you talk about infertility, it is a common disease throughout the world. However, there are some differences when you look at the rates of the prevalence of infertility in the developed world compared to ours. In the developed world, the percentage is about 8, 9, 10% of their population, which is not so bad. Here, in our developing world, completely different. And again, we have a challenge of collecting data and using that data. But the estimates are, and this is a bit paradoxical, the estimates are that 20, sometimes even up to 30% of our populations in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, actually have a problem with infertility, whether it is what we call primary infertility or secondary infertility. Okay. Now, the paradox is that we also have the highest birth rates. So we have the highest numbers, we deliver the most children, and we have the highest numbers of infertility. Some of the causes, City, you asked about what could be some of these causes. Have the numbers increased? I'm not very sure whether the numbers have increased, but I think the awareness is increasing, and because of that awareness increasing, more people are coming out to seek help, and maybe because of that is why we are seeing more of these patients. When you talk about causes of infertility, can either be male or female. We start with the ladies. Age is a very big factor, and what age we are talking about is about 35 years. Why? Because after 35, we find that the numbers or the eggs that they had originally, the numbers have dropped drastically. That's number one. And the quality of the eggs, that's genetic material, is also poorer. So the chances of them getting pregnant also drops drastically. Why is this so? It is so because women are born with a certain number of eggs. And every time they have a period, they lose a certain number of eggs every month. So if they start their periods at around 12, 13, 14 years, and by the time they get to 35, they will have had menses for about 20 something years, that number has drastically reduced. We have issues with fibroids, for example. And again, when you look at where we are as the Africans, and this affects women of African origin. It doesn't matter where they are. They have the largest number of fibroids, and also the sizes are a lot bigger, and it affects women who are in the reproductive period, and it affects about anywhere between 30 even up to 70% of women of African origin, and that is a big problem. My colleague removed 114 fibroids from a woman. The most I've removed is 80. So the fibroids is actually a big contributory factor to infertility.
Doctor, what are fibroids?
Fibroids are basically a growth. It's a benign, which is non-cancerous growth in the womb.
Okay.
And this arises from the muscle of the womb. And it is thought, and it has been shown that it is highly dependent on the female hormones that are produced.
Okay.
That is estrogen. The sizes of these fibroids can be very tiny, from a few millimeters to 20 centimeters. And the weight, I've removed a 7 kilo fibroid.
7 kg.
7 kgs, yeah.
Those are 2 children.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's weight reduction.
Yeah. These are 3 children. Wow. Okay.
Yes. And then we have something called endometriosis, a very enigmatic disease where it affects women and affects their infertility as well. Basically, it comes from the word endometriosis, and endometrioma is the lining of the womb. You remember we talked about where the baby implants and grows? So that part comes out during the periods because there is no baby in the womb. But unfortunately, that endometrium can implant itself outside the womb. And then when it implants itself outside the womb, it will respond just the same way as the part which is in the womb. What does that mean? It means that it will bleed when the time comes for bleeding.
Yes.
It will grow when the time comes for the lining in the womb to grow, so it will also grow. And this is a very big problem. It affects about 10 to 15% of women who come to seek infertility, infertility services. Right. You have things like polycystic ovarian syndrome as well, again, which affects about 10, 13, 15% of women who are quote-unquote infertile.
Yeah.
And this is because, you see, in this studio here, we are 3 of us.
Yes.
So imagine we have about 40, 50 people here. And then somebody says, Moto Mewaka. See, everybody will run to the door. How many people will get out of that door?
Almost none.
Almost none. It's exactly the same thing. So you find in these women, they have a large number of eggs. So when the time comes for that 1, 2 eggs to come out, you find very many of them are ready.
Released.
Very many of them are ready to come out. And then almost none of them comes out. So you find they have irregular periods most of the time. They have other issues, they have issues with acne, where you have pimples all over the place. Sometimes some of them lose hair, what you call alopecia, and some of them are, have mood swings, etc. And that affects about 10, 13, 14% of. Then we have issues with hormonal imbalance, where some hormones are higher than the level is higher than when it's supposed to be. For example, we have a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is a hormone which tells the woman's breast to produce milk when she's expectant. You see how beautifully our bodies are made.
Yes.
So it's like, prepare. There is somebody in the womb who's going to need this milk. So start preparing mapema. Now, sometimes that hormone can be higher even when there is no baby. And then when it's higher and there is no baby, the body thinks, quote unquote, that there is a baby. So block every other system, this woman cannot get pregnant. There is a very important hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. And this basically, quote unquote, is a manager of other hormones in the body. So if its level is high or low, then of course, the body, you will not, this lady may not get pregnant at all.
Yeah.
When it comes to men, you have issues with numbers. As I mentioned, numbers of sperm, the quality of the sperm.
What we call the sperm count.
Sperm count, yes. Sperm analysis. When you talk about the sperm analysis, we're talking about the volume of that ejaculate. Because in that ejaculate, apart from sperm, there is fluid as well. And that fluid is very, very important because it helps.
Is it what is called the semen now?
A semen now is everything put together. It's put together.
All right.
Now, if that volume is low, it is also not very good. We need that volume to be at least 1.5 milliliters. So not a lot. Maybe even half a teaspoon, actually. Yeah. Then we look and see whether these sperms are swimming well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be clumpy, they are stuck together. And if they are stuck together, that is not good, because then imagine they're trying to get to the egg, and then there are sort of mountains on the way to this sperm. So you'll find that the ones which get to the egg may be very few, if any, at all. So that is a challenge. We look at how they swim. There are different categories or different groups. There is type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, or ABCD. Type 1 are the ones which are sprinters. Kina Omanyala wako hapo. And then type 2, we have the long distance runners. Kina Kipchoge hapo wako hapo. So we normally put the Omanyalas and the Kipchoges together. What we need is about 40%. If they 40%, hapo wako sawa. Then we come and look at what we call the concentration. That is the number of sperms in 1 milliliter.
All right.
So let's say a gentleman has produced 3 milliliters.
Yes.
And in those 3 milliliters, in one of them, he has about, let's say, 50 million. It's fantastic because we need 15 million or more. And then we come to what is called the count, where we take the concentration and we multiply it with the volume. So remember, the volume was 3 milliliters, the concentration is 50 million. So the total count, the total number of sperms is 150 million. Fantastic. We basically need 40 million.
Yeah.
So you can 150 million. Yuko sawa. Then we look at the normal forms.
Yeah.
Not all sperms are normal, and this is where most people don't know. We actually need a very small percentage of that 150 million in order for us to say these sperm test results are okay. We need 4% or more. So 4%, 10% of 150 million is 15 million.
Yes.
So 1% will be 1.5 million. So 4% will be about 6 million. So out of the 150 million, the total count, we just need 6 million. Zikiwa zaidi ni sawa.
Even better.
Even better. So once we look at this, we say, okay, this sperm test result is okay. Actually, you can even put it on a poster, uweke kwa nyumba, wageni wakija na waonyesha.
Unaambia, ona niko sawa.
Mimi niko sawa, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, we can have problems with the volume, we can have problems with the swimming, the motility, we can have problems with the count, with the concentration, and also with the normal forms. And the sperm, the semen itself can also have infection as well. So there can be bacteria there as well, and so on. Or sometimes there are no sperms at all as well.
Wait, but what is bacteria doing there?
If there is an infection, then the sperm can also have the semen can have infection.
So if I remember my biochemistry well,
yes,
I remember the reason why the sperm tail really does what it does is because of the presence of glucose.
Very important. That is why that fluid is important
because it contains that glucose.
It quote unquote it feeds. It feeds.
Yes.
It feeds the sperm.
So if the sperm is not swimming well, does it mean that perhaps in this semen there is very low concentration of glucose, or is there another problem?
It can also be another problem. If it's an infection, for example, because the bacteria are foreign bodies, they're not supposed to be there, so they are going to inhibit the proper swimming. If they are clumpy, that is also going to be a problem for the sperms to swim and so on. We have other issues as well. For example, there is no ejaculation, or there is what you call retrograde ejaculation, where the sperm, instead of coming out, actually goes back into the bladder, into the urine.
What brings this about?
Different things. It can be quote unquote the plumbing gone wrong during delivery, during development of
so this is a congenital problem.
It can be a congenital problem, but it can also be because of some procedures, surgical procedures as well.
So when we talk about fertility,
yes,
the reference point tends to be women. Clearly, the problem includes men as well.
Absolutely. But the only thing is that most of the time we apportion the problem to women.
Yes.
Simply because they are the ones who quote unquote manifest what has been happening behind closed doors. So if after 1 year, 2 years of marriage, nothing has happened, that abdomen is not swelling, essentially meaning that there is no baby, then the problem is the woman. Forgetting that we men actually contribute a huge part as well.
There's
that issue.
A term that men use when such things happen. They're told they're firing blanks.
A very unfortunate term.
It is unfortunate. Yes. It's descriptive, maybe even a little derogatory.
Yes.
But if you can take a few minutes, just explain.
Yes.
What are some of these common situations that pertain to men that bring about this discussion that we refer to as infertility?
As infertility. Specifically, if we talk about the quote-unquote shooting blanks, is because remember, sperm is produced elsewhere.
Yes.
And then it is stored elsewhere. During intercourse, in microseconds, it comes from where it is stored in the epididymis, and then it comes down through the tubes, what you call the vas deferens, and then it passes through the prostate gland, where it mixes now with what we call the seminal fluid, and then now it comes out as an ejaculate, and that is microseconds. Now, if there is a problem with production, they are not being produced, of course, what will come out during ejaculation is just the seminal fluid.
All right.
If there is production, but there is a blockage in the tubes, what will come out is just the seminal fluid.
Okay.
If there is a lack of production and the tubes as well are blocked, what will come out is just seminal fluid. Sometimes, but this is very rare, men can be born without the tubes, what we call congenital absence of the vas deferens.
Can this be repaired?
No, they are not there. They're just not there.
We can't put artificial tubes.
No, we can't.
So if you're born this rare condition, it's a good thing it's rare.
It's a genetic disease.
Yes. If that is what you have.
Yes. Now, we come to that. Now, depending on now again where the problem is, if there is no sperm, because there can be no sperm because of different reasons, or blockage, no production, undescended testicles, because normally what happens when a boy is growing, the testicles are inside the abdomen, as it were, and as it grows, they actually develop, they actually drop down into the scrotum, into the sac. Sometimes they don't, and if they don't, what will happen is that the young man will grow up. Everything is okay. Ndevu yukonazo, everything, what you call secondary sexual characteristics will be there, but there'll be no sperm. So what we do in such a case, we say, okay, the first port of call is to do a sperm test. There are no sperms. What could be the problem? Could it be a blockage? Could it be because of lack of production or whatever it is? Then we request more tests. We do a hormone test, and then we do a scan of the scrotum. The scan of the scrotum will come and say there are no testicles there. There are no testes. So the problem is where we do an MRI of the abdomen. They're actually in the abdomen. So the cause of the lack of sperm is undescended testicles. There's nothing we can do.
What do we call experts who, just as OBGYN is largely associated with women?
Yes.
This plumbing issue that men have.
We work very closely with colleagues who are called urologists.
Yes.
Urologists.
Yes.
They really help us in this, because sometimes, like we said, there can be problems around the testes. There can be fluid around the testes, for example. Sometimes the vessels, veins can be swollen, and this can affect the quality of the sperm. So we send these gentlemen to our colleagues, urologists, and they sort them out. And most of the time after doing that, everything is okay.
There was this matter of production.
Yes.
What is it that helps with the production?
What is it? Hormones.
Yes. Hormones. So what is it that one needs to do if there is a problem with the production of hormones? Because this production department.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, it all depends on what hormones are abnormal. Because if you find that it's testosterone, for example, because there are several hormones which are which are involved in the process of creation of sperm. Testosterone is one of them, and it's a major one. But the other hormones as well. For example, thyroid stimulating hormone is important. Prolactin, the one which helps women to produce milk. In breast, is also affects the process of production in sperm. Then we also have what we call follicle stimulating hormone. We have also what we call luteinizing hormone. All of these have to work together as an orchestra in order for sperm to be produced. Now, if we find that is testosterone which is low, then we need to find out what is the reason, why is it low. We can supplement testosterone. Some of the reasons why testosterone is low, for example, is we see gentlemen who are weightlifters. Now, in order for us to grow those muscles, we actually need a bit of testosterone. Some of the products that they take actually have testosterone. Sometimes you don't know what the quantity is. So you find these gentlemen, even the ladies as well, they start growing, muscles, and they really are muscular. However, in the endocrine system, in the blood system, there is the testosterone is circulating. Remember, the testicles are also producing testosterone, and we are ingesting testosterone. So when the level reaches and crosses a certain threshold, there is what we call a negative feedback. So there is a message which goes to the brain and says, this is too much testosterone.
Stop producing it.
Stop producing.
It's an overload.
Yes, it's an overload. So what happens? The brain stops messages to the testicles. There is no testosterone produced. So what happens is that the testes can actually start shrinking, and even the manhood also can start becoming smaller.
Really?
Even though out here the women will be oogling and said why that sort of thing. Lakini kule chini in that department
hakuna anything.
Hakuna kitu.
Where? So
can see cities like
cities like, thank God I have a kitambi. Daktari, I kind of feel like this conversation needed 2 hours. But there's a question here.
Yes.
And it's about enjoying intercourse.
Correct.
So for people who do not produce sperm, for example,
correct,
do they enjoy sex?
Of course they do.
Okay.
They do. Everything is the same. Everything is the same.
The climax is the same.
Climax is the same. However, there are some who have what is called unejaculation, that they will have intercourse, but they will not have an orgasm. That is something completely different as well.
Okay.
Yes. So you find they are struggling and they struggle, and you find the people who suffer are actually their partners.
Yeah.
So they suffer, and nothing really happens.
Okay.
But that is all a different ball game as it were altogether.
All right. Now, Kenya recently did this act in Parliament where surrogacy is now and I don't know if it includes IVF as well, is now being regulated.
Yes.
Why did we need that law?
I think the law is important.
Yes.
Just like in any profession, CT is not a pilot.
Yes.
So as kusema leo, I'm going to sit on a Dreamliner and I'm going to fly this
people,
thing.
yeah.
Where are you going? You won't even know which knobs to press.
You don't even know where the start button is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think regulation is important, very, very important. Regulation creates safety for the users and the providers of whichever service it is. And that is why I think the law is important. Remember, this is the IVF or ART for that matter, is the youngest subspecialty or the youngest baby in medicine, as it were, because it's about 40 something years old only, as compared to surgery and internal medicine, which have been there for thousands of years. So, but then paradoxically, it has the most interesting things, it's like a Pandora's box, as it were. Now, that is why I think regulation is important. We need to know who is supposed to offer these services.
Yes.
We need to have standards, what kind of places can offer these services, and what are the qualifications, and so on and so forth. Because then you can do IVF, you can do ART na kibanda, out here, and that sort of thing. So I think regulation is important. However, when you talk about regulation, we have to be careful not to throw away the baby with the bathwater, as it were.
Yes.
Talking about surrogacy. When you talk about surrogacy is there are two types of surrogacy, where you have somebody who says, okay, my wife cannot be able to have a child, so what I will do, I will go and have intercourse with this woman, and she will bear a child for me, and this child will belong to us, me and my wife.
Right.
We have an agreement. And it is there in the Bible. Look at what Jacob did, with Rachel. Rachel came and said, I can't have children and I must have children. And Jacob says, am I God to give you children? And then he says, go in with my maid, and then those children will do what? Will belong. So it is a process which has been there. Now, there is this other type of surrogacy whereby I have embryos. We have created embryos. Remember how we created them.
Yes.
But my wife is not able to carry these embryos for whatever reason. Number one, maybe she was born without a womb, or she has huge number of fibroids that have distorted completely the cavity, and there is no way this baby can grow in there. Or she has had major surgery, brain surgery, heart surgery. And remember, pregnancy is a huge, I don't want to say trauma, but it's a huge
undertaking,
huge stress because it changes everything in the body. So my wife cannot be able to carry that baby. So what do? We look for somebody else who can actually carry that baby for us, which is absolutely normal. The bill is good. However, after saying that, there are quite a number of bits and pieces which may be controversial a bit. Number one, it talks about one of the clauses, because I'm just quoting from what I have read.
Right.
I haven't seen the bill itself after it was passed. And number one, it says that children who have been born through ART, IVF, and so on, must be registered, must have a register. First of all, infertility is a stigmatizing problem. When you don't have a baby, you are, quote unquote, you are useless. You are not a man enough, you're not woman enough, and so on. So when you say that these children have to have a separate register,
where it explicitly says that
you were born through IVF, I think this is discrimination to these babies, these children. And then if that were to be the case, for the sake of fairness, then children who are born where parents have diabetes, for example, they should also have a register. Children who are born because the mother has hypertension, they should also have a register. Malaria, waweke kwa register.
This is now profiling.
This is profiling. And remember, I said we have to look at this infertility problem through the lenses of a disease, because it is a disease. It is a medical problem. So when you do this, I think that is not correct.
Right.
It is not right at all. Now, the other thing you said, just one other piece, is that surrogacy will only be available for Kenyan women. So if I am married to a Mnyarwanda, my wife is Rwandese, and we have a challenge. So does it mean that I cannot be able to get those services?
They are now making it difficult for you to have.
They are making it difficult
for you to have a family.
To have a family. Now, and then the other thing they say, there should be no commercialization. I don't exactly understand what commercialization is. They don't explain what commercialization is. And then the other thing, for example, we pride ourselves in this part of Africa, and East and Central Africa. Ukweli ni kwamba we are more developed than other countries.
Nations,
Most of these other nations do not have those services that we have here. So if a patient comes from Mozambique, for example, from Angola, from Malawi, whatever it is, and they don't have those services there
in their country,
and they come here and they are available here, can we not provide for them? We should be able to provide for them, because those services are not available. And then right at the beginning, it says every person has a right to what? To the best, to the highest quality of services.
Yes.
So if it says every person,
but then now narrows it down.
So it is sort of a conflict, because if you say every person, it means every person who will be in between the jurisdiction of Kenya. So, and then later on you go and say this is only for Kenyans. So it's a sort of,
How involved was COGS in the formulation
of this law?
First of all, I don't know which version this is, because there have been several versions. And we have to, first of all, I have to laud and applaud the Honorable Member of Parliament, Millie
Odhiambo,
yes, who actually has been at the head of this and has spearheaded this. We have had several meetings. We had not only myself, but other colleagues as well. The ministry itself also, as late as 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, actually called us for a retreat in Naivasha to talk about the same issue. And then ghafla binu tunaona kwamba bill imepitishwa, kuna sheria. So there are bits and pieces which I think needs to be a little bit more discussed and overhauled before it really becomes before it is assented into law.
Right.
The other thing they say, for example, that a surrogate must be between 25 and 45 years, and then we ask, what exactly is the criteria of saying 25 years? Why not 23 years, for example?
Why not 18? Because you become an adult in this country at 18.
Why not 30? So what is this beautiful? What is this so beautiful about 25 and 45, for example? So these are some of the things which I think need clarity. They talk about buying and selling and cloning of human beings. Of course, international laws do not agree to any cloning of human beings. That one, there's no problem with that. We never buy or sell embryos, because remember, an embryo is genetic material. That is a small you who is there, who will grow into a small you.
Yeah.
So we cannot take it and say, sasa, tuko kwa mnada. Said, okay, we have embryos from CT. Nani yuko na elfu kumi imeenda.
We auction
them.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Daktari, we also have this understanding that embryos are being currently used in stem cell technology. Yeah. So do we have any of that kind of research ongoing in this country?
No.
All right.
Definitely no. What more? Again, with development of technology, sometimes it is so fast that the laws are,
taking time to catch up.
Taking time to catch up. For example, we have there was a case in the UK where there was a 3-parent baby. What does that mean? He says, okay, this one got the eggs, this one gave the sperm, and then another one got eggs out, but because this A had a problem with what we call the mitochondria, the C gave eggs, and they removed mitochondria from there
and put it
in A, and then this one was fertilized with sperm,
right.
and then D carried the baby.
So here I have mitochondrial DNA from this woman. But I also have genetic DNA from this other woman.
Correct.
And then now I have my father's sperm.
Yes. And then somebody else carries the baby for you.
And
good morning.
So those are actually 4 parents now.
4 parents. But again, it is that way because we are solving a medical problem. Just like now, we have sickle cell anemia in this part of the world because of our geographical location, and so it's a genetic disease. So we can actually choose which embryo is healthy and which one has a genetic problem, and then we can say these ones which have genetic issues, we are not going to use them, we will not transfer them, we will only transfer these ones which are okay, which is a good thing.
So because I know that whenever we are confirming the maternity, the mother of a child, we use mostly mitochondrial DNA, right?
Not necessarily. No.
All right.
Yeah.
But the mother definitely donates her entire mitochondrial DNA to her children.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, but I don't know whether you're asking about paternity or what are we confirming?
Paternity, I know we check the entire DNA against the father's DNA. All right.
But now, if we are checking whether the baby has issues, medical issues, again, we can check at the embryo level,
right,
where we do a biopsy, remove one cell and send it for analysis. But if that stage was not there for whatever reason, or maybe the parents did not want it, and we can actually do a non-invasive non-invasive NIPT, where we can test the blood of the mother and see whether the baby that she's carrying actually has a problem or not.
All right. Well, like I said, we needed 2 hours for this conversation because I feel like we've just scratched the surface, and then now we're getting deep into this. Now, this law in Kenya, do you think it's really going to affect a lot of people going forward?
My personal views. My personal views are that it is important to have that law in place, but again, we should not over-regulate. We should not over-legislate, because what is going to happen is that if you say that surrogacy is going to be altruistic, for example, I have a case of a young lady who has had 7 miscarriages and has lost 3 babies. Around 25, 26, 27 days, and she does not have a sister who can carry a baby for her. So what can she do? Because she has a problem herself. She has to look for a surrogate to do that. If I get a patient from, let's say, Mozambique, who has a similar problem, my honors as a doctor is to do what? Is to help her. Maimonides, one of the philosophers in the old days, said, "May I never see anything in the patient but a fellow creature in need." So if this patient comes from Mozambique, comes from Angola, comes from Malawi, or even comes from, whatever, and she has this problem, you will say it is altruistic. She needs me to help her because she has a challenge. I am going to help her. Now, you do not describe what altruistic is. So what will happen is when we over legislate like this, what will happen is that these services will go underground. The same thing with abortion. It will not stop them from happening. It will take them underground, which will be dangerous. So I think as we legislate, let us legislate in a manner that the one offering the services and the one receiving the services are safe within the presence of the law.
Thank you so much, Daktari. This is where we come to a close as far as this conversation is concerned. But I will organize uje hapa sasa tuongee vizuri kuhusu jambo hili.
Kuna shida.
All right. We are taking a break as usual. When we return, of course, in the next hour, we shall be having a different conversation. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Moses Omondi of Orange Democratic Movement has been declared the winner of Ugunja constituency by-election, receiving a total of 9,227 votes. The results reflect strong support for Omondi in a contest that attracted attention from across Siaya County. Orondi Odhiambo from the Wiper Party came in second with 1,819 votes, while Frederick Ochiel of United Democratic Movement secured 1,200 votes.
For the IPC, I want to thank you very much for conducting a free, fair and credible exercise. Secondly, I want to take this opportunity again to thank the people of Ugunja for having faith in me and electing me to serve them in the National Assembly as the second member of Parliament. Allow me also to say that my focus will be purely on development agenda.
Democracy for the Citizens Party celebrated a historic breakthrough from its candidate Aduda Okwiri, emerged victorious in the Kisa East Ward by-election. The triumph comes as a boost for the young party, signaling growth support among voters. Okwiri claimed the seat with 1,952 votes, narrowly defeating Joel Ongoro of the AMD, who garnered 1,541 votes. A caretaker from Ruai has been charged with defilement and with knowingly transporting a minor from Nairobi to Bungoma County. The court was told that the minor was moved across counties before the matter was reported. The suspect's lawyer applied for lenient bail and bond terms, but the prosecution requested additional time to present the full details of the case. The court ordered that the accused remain in custody until 10th of December, when a comprehensive review of bail and bond application will be presented.
Kati ya mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu na tarehe 22 mwezi huu mwaka huu hapa Ruai Sub County na Webuye Sub County hapa nchini Kenya, unaweza kutumia mume wako kupenyeza sehemu za siri ya mtoto ambaye ako na miaka 14. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Kama si kweli, basi kuna shtaka la mbadala la kufanya tendo na yeye na mtoto kwa sheria. Maelezo ya kesi ni kwa kati ya tarehe 18 mwezi huu na tarehe 22 mwezi huu hapa Ruai Sub County na pia Webuye Sub County hapa Kenya, tunaweza kuguza sehemu za siri ya mtoto ambaye kuna miaka 14.
A Mombasa court has sentenced a man to 10 years in prison in a major boost to the government's campaign against wildlife trafficking. The ruling follows the conviction of Abdi Mohammed Ali, who was found in possession of elephant tusk valued 2.4 million Kenya shillings and engaging in illegal wildlife trade. Senior resident magistrate David Odhiambo delivered the judgment after Principal Prosecution Counsel Barbara Sombo successfully demonstrated that Abdi had violated key provisions of the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act 2013. Firefighters battled for a second day to extinguish a blaze at a high-rise apartment complex in Hong Kong on Thursday. This as the death toll rose to 94 in one of the deadliest blazes in the city's modern history. Officials say firefighters were still working on a handful of apartments and trying to enter all of the units in the 7 towers to ensure there were no further casualties. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Sports on Radio Generation.
Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno. Nottingham Forest breezed past Malmo in the Europa League to strengthen their grip on a playoff place. Skipper Ryan Yates, Arnold Kalimwendo and Nikola Milankovic scored to ensure a comfortable win in a repeat of the 1979 European Cup final when Forest beat the 24-time Swedish champions. Forest recorded 3 successive wins for the first time since the turn of the year. The drop-off in their form during the second half of last season the reason why they are in the Europa League and not the Champions League. Daniel Malen scored twice as Aston Villa moved closer to progressing automatically for the Europa League knockouts with a comfortable win against Young Boys. The Dutch forwards' goals both came in a first half that was marred by crowd trouble in the away end, with Malen getting hit by a plastic cup as he celebrated his 27th minute opener. There were more disappointing scenes after he got his second just before halftime, with the game halted for a few minutes after some seats were ripped up where the Swiss fans were, and more objects were thrown towards the pitch. And that's your sport update on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno.
Sports on Radio Generation. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Welcome back. It is now 8 minutes past 8 o'clock. A very good morning to you. If you're just joining us, this is Radio Generation, the People's Breakfast. We are on 88.8 FM in Nairobi. And in Mombasa, you can find us on 90.7 FM. Radio Gen KE across all socials. And you can also WhatsApp us on 0116-928-683. That means you can call through that number on WhatsApp, send a voice note, or even a text message. We shall be happy to read through. Yes, sir.
Those numbers. Sema pole pole. Wajua mazeni speedy. Those numbers are pole pole.
Kwa sababu ya City Muga, wacha nikusome pole pole.
Tafadhali, please.
0 1
Yes.
1
Yes.
6
Thank you.
9
Yes.
2 8
Yes.
6 8 3. Report to counter number 4. Well, if you want to hear more of this comedy, you can head on over to Two Rivers Mall today for the Somali Cultural and Arts Festival, which actually gates have already opened. I'm told by my team, which is already on ground, that the culture has taken off. The festival, rather, has taken... Yeah, that is at the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center. Remember, we said there's lots of entertainment, lots of food and other authentic Somali meals and snacks. We have fashion, beauty, decor, and other kinds of events taking place, including that for kids, fun crafts, hinna party, and play areas where they can jump on the trampoline, bouncing castles, and so on and so forth. And if you're a sports lover, the culture also includes a lot of sports. Today, specifically, we have a lot of friendly matches between Isli versus South Sea side. So why don't you head on over to the Somali Cultural and Arts Festival that is happening at the Two Rivers Mall. And CT and myself are going to be there immediately. This show ends at 10. 10:15 tutakuwa tu Rivers. Kwa hivyo kama unataka kusalimia CT na umuulize hii document career yake leo iko na document gani, well, today is the perfect opportunity to link up with the breakfast, the people's breakfast. But in studio we do have someone who's going to help us have a conversation around the by-elections, the devolution, and of course the roadmap as far as 2027 is concerned. I'm talking about none other than Diana Ngao. She's a youth leader, a youth league member at the People's Liberation Party. Diana, karibu sana to Radio Generation.
Asante sana.
Yeah, how are things over at PLP?
Things are going well. I can see also you guys like the color purple just like us.
Imagine when Mheshimiwa Martha came here, she came and said by then now this is her favorite radio station because of the colors.
Just because of the colors.
Oh yes.
Yeah, purple is a color that signifies hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
And royalty also.
And royalty.
Yes. All right. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Like I asked, how are things at PLP? Did you people have any members that what are they called? Kuna aspirants mulieka sehemu na sehemu?
Yes, we did. We had one MCA aspirant in Tana River County, Chewani Ward. Yes.
Did they clinch the seat?
Unfortunately, no, but they did well. They lost by almost 100 votes.
Okay.
Yeah, very close loss.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, wanasemanga asiyekubali kushindwa si mshindani. Yeah, and we shall do this again. Of course, PLP will be at it again.
By 100 votes?
Yeah.
Yes.
In a by-election?
Imagine.
Yeah. Has this individual stood before?
No, he hasn't stood before.
2027? This fellow will win.
Kuna vile.
Oh no, this fellow will win.
And I think we also need to define losing because there's losing that is outright fair losing.
Okay.
But there's losing that is manufactured. And that's what we are seeing now in this by-elections, that candidates are losing, but it's a manufactured loss.
Right.
Yeah.
Perhaps for the sake of the listener, expound on that.
If you can.
If I can. When I say manufactured loss, I mean we have seen so much, witnessed so much voter bribery. We've seen intimidation going on in various, all the 24 by-elections. We've seen or had rumors of ballot stuffing.
Yes.
Even in Chewani Ward, there were two, in a ward election, there were two polling stations that arrived with their ballot box lit. It took them a while to bring the ballot boxes, and that gives you leaves room for assumption that what were they doing with the ballot boxes? I mean, it's a small ward.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm saying there are manufactured losses, and I know coming from the backdrop of 2022 where we were told accept and move on.
Yes.
I'm just saying that tunaweza kubali kushindwa, lakini hiyo being accepting the loss doesn't mean that we accept the manufactured process. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, well, personally, when I look at an election, I do not consider anyone a loser. I would like to believe that we are all winners because whoever we have elected at the end of the day, whether I chose them or not, I expect them to deliver.
Yeah.
So I look at an election as a process of just deciding who is the best person to deliver on the promises, or at the very least on the needs of the citizen.
Yeah, I think you're one of the few Kenyans who think that.
I don't know what he's talking about actually. What do you mean there are no losses in an election? Then why do they declare winner? I mean, when you declare winner...
But I just said from my perspective, of course, we will need a winner. That's why it's an election. It's a competition. At the end of the day, CT will emerge the winner, for example.
But this perspective that you have is what I'm wondering. I mean...
No.
There are very few things that are contested as hotly as an electoral position.
Sasa ndio ni reduce blood pressure just because my candidate A has lost and candidate D is the one who has taken over. Sasa sitaanza kukufa moyo hapa. Nikose usingizi.
You are taking a health position.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why I said from my perspective,
it's important.
We do not have losers.
Me, I prefer my blood pressure to go up.
Nilisahau wewe umetoka pande gani ya Kenya.
Like most Kenyans.
Sisi. This middle of the road approach to things.
Right.
Hapana. It's either or
we need to adopt as Kenyans, by the way, we just need to adopt a system whereby we move on from elections.
Actually, I think the contrary. I think Kenyans have not taken elections seriously. They've taken elections as an event. An election is a process. And that is the reason why we find ourselves in this cyclic manner of elections being like, this is the end of all, this is life or death. True to it, who you choose to govern you is literally a life or death situation, because you can choose someone who literally takes away your livelihood, and 5 years down the line you're in a worse situation compared to the other. But what I'm saying is that we have to take our elections seriously. Look at the voter apathy that's across all the constituencies on the voting needs that we've seen across the country today. Yesterday in the by-election. So I'm starting to see. I'm in the train of thought that
we need to give this thing weight.
We've not been taking our election seriously, and we've been treating it as if it is just a day event where I just go to the polling station and I vote, and forgetting that it's a process. And
I agree with you on the gravity of this thing that we call elections, and of course the process, because like you've rightly said, elections are not a day event whereby we say 27th we vote, then we go home. No, we need to, like, first of all, there's the whole scrutiny part of it. Who are these people coming to campaign? What are they saying? And what are they doing during their campaigns? So that will determine on the end date what shall happen. And then, of course, after the election, do we hold them to account? You know, just because you came and you showed us this amazing, beautiful manifesto, and you signed manifestos with all 47 counties and mamambogas, and we need to ask questions after that and hold you to account. What I'm against, though, is sensationalizing the whole process, whereby I look at you differently just because you chose to go with PLP, and because I'm in ODM, now you're my enemy. That is what I am against.
That's true. And I feel like that's where the political class really thrives in terms of polarizing the grassroots. And Kenyans need to remember that we need to have a home to go back to after the election day.
Actually, even after to date, there are some people who are being told, wewe ndio ulivotia fulani fulani, ona shida tunapitia is because you voted. And I'm like, but you don't know whether the same would have happened had you voted for Wajakoya. Would you want someone to point fingers at you just because you voted for Ruben Kigame, for instance? So I'm for the idea of we make choices, then at the end of these choices we are still together, and we need to hold these people to account, all of us together.
And also we should also leave room that, yes, I may have voted for this candidate. Case in point, I voted for the women rep of Nairobi.
Yes.
And I'm highly disappointed.
Okay.
And it is okay for me to change my mind. That, yes, I voted for her, but midstream, I'm like, nope. And it's okay for me to be like, no. And so for someone who didn't vote for her to point the finger at me and say, but you're the one who put her in office by voting for her. Choices are choices that can change. You can change your choice at any time. Today I can be pro-government, and tomorrow I can be like, no, I'm not pro-government. And it's okay.
Because me, I'd like my brothers and sisters whom we differed during the election, and if I'm disappointed in the leader that I voted for, next time let me see if next time if I go with your choice, perhaps we shall have a better country. And if I do go with your choice, after I've of course done my own kind of analysis, and I realize pia huyu ametuchoma, so now what do we do to make things better, as opposed to nyinyi ndo mnajifanyanga mnavotia.
But let me ask you this question, Paul.
Yes, sir.
When you look at the situation that you've just parodied,
yes,
the vast majority of us represent the diversity of political thinking that we have in the country.
Exactly.
In the absence of an electoral process and a period, do we really care who the other person supports, or the party the person belongs to? Do we honestly really care?
No. Okay, are we talking about matters politics? Because if it's politics, we really don't care after that.
You see, the thing is, it's the politics that brings in the political parties and the election process that we're talking about.
Yes.
And I'm saying that I have witnessed situations where somebody's being joked with, this kind of yours, you people. It's not a violent discussion. It's just that the way you discuss football.
Yeah.
Okay? You and Liverpool. What I'm driving at is this. Some of these reactions are manufactured. For instance, do you really think that all these fellows who are carrying rungus and machetes in Kasipul, that this is what they do on a daily basis. No, that's not what they do on a daily basis. Somebody paid them to go and do this.
They were motivated towards that action.
That is not even motivation. It is literally, I am hiring you to do this. It's not that
it's a job you've been given.
It is a job that you've been given.
The money is the motivation.
Well, the motivation is, yes, I could say that, because I need food to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, but that doesn't mean that you also have a choice. We just talked about choices.
Yes.
There is something that I saw, a video, I don't know how true it is because I wasn't there, but I saw a video yesterday circulating of someone, I think it was in Embu, and there was alleged voter bribery, and he said that mi nitachukua pesa yako, lakini sitavotia candidate wako. And because of that, then there was a scuffle.
Okay.
And I want people to also join into that thinking, because to me I was just like, that's okay. If you're hungry and you need to eat and you're being bribed, take it.
Yeah,
but you don't have to.
Don't let your mind go with that money.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Someone like City would differ very strongly on that point, but
wait. Differ strongly with which point?
Take the money but vote.
No, don't take the money at all. Thank you.
And then you sleep hungry.
By all means, sleep hungry. You see, the point is this, it's a vicious cycle. We've had people coming here who have that view as yours, that if the money is offered, take it. Actually, the moment you take that money, I don't think most people understand what you've just done.
The psychological.
The reality is, any power you had as the sovereign has been bought and paid for. Done. This person has no obligation whatsoever to do anything for you. You know why? They've paid you.
City believes that when you take that money, you've sold your soul. Literally.
No. I actually believe it. But
I see his point now.
Yes.
No, but let me ask you this. Both of you, if I take this money that Mheshimiwa has offered me in the name of make sure umenipigia kura, so you want me to vote for you, Diana, right? So I take your money, your 200 shillings, but I get to the ballot box and I vote for another lady called Purity, because I'm supporting Purity for whatever reason. Mi sijaku wewe ndo umenipatia so mbili nikachukua. Chances hata Purity alinipatia nikachukua. Chances are another lady gave me money called, let's call her Mary. Mary gave me money na nikachukua.
Yeah.
But my mind was set on voting for Purity irregardless.
So I think now I'm here, when I'm seeing from what City has said, and I think City, you're beginning to change my mind.
Thank you so much.
Is that there's a power dynamic between who pays who. And the moment, in the Constitution, they say the people are sovereign, right? And the moment we accept that money, I'm getting from what City just said, is that you have given away your power. And a lot of the issues we're having in this country that are cyclic are really because the people do not understand that they have the power.
Paul, look at it this way.
Yeah.
You're given money, you vote. This person who's giving you money goes to parliament. He's given money, he votes. And this chain of events disenfranchise you with every move. You are disenfranchised as a citizen. With every move. If you take the leadership higher up and somebody from a more developed and a far richer country comes in and offers somebody who is in leadership or a group of people in leadership a certain inducement, it's the same process. You are selling the birthright that you've actually been given to protect in the country. So the sovereignty, from the point of view of the individual who actually is entrusted with it, who has now allocated it briefly to this particular individual, they carry on doing it to the point where you actually hear stories of the country being sold and you're asking, what on earth are these people doing? It's the same thing, but on a much, much larger scale. So, and who do you think is the net sufferer? Us. Because, and it's where we start. When it is known that you will not receive money, that person will approach you very differently. Very, very differently. They will actually seek to do what they said they are going to do, number one. They will actually seek to talk with you to find out what it is you'd like to see done. That conversation will change completely. You dish out money, you don't have to talk anymore, you don't have to convince anybody anymore. Let me give an example of what I mean. My generation has a tendency, sometimes they are wrong, of course, of looking at your generation and saying, as men, you do not take the time to talk nicely to women. You do not woo women. You don't encourage her to like you by the things you tell her. You want to encourage her by the things you give her. See, my generation, we spoke a great deal. Well, we didn't have a great deal of money. We spoke a great deal, and we wrote letters and we wrote poems. Okay? Now, that was how we communicated. When somebody wants to convince me that I should vote for them, I should be convinced that what they are going to do is what they are going to do, without them trying to convince my mind by giving me money.
I see what you're saying, CT, but how do we get ourselves out of this? Because, like I earlier said, most of them are thinking like, this is what is going to buy me or afford me the next meal. Right?
Are you saying?
So no, I'm just saying, I'm like, I agree with you that they shouldn't. Now now you've convinced me, but now help me see it practically, that if this person has no, I mean, they're earning hand to mouth.
Yes.
And today, yani, they are not sure where they are getting their money for this evening. And someone approaches them, I'm like, shika irungu nakupatia thao.
Me, I'll give you a straight up answer, as CT also gives you his. Practically, I mean, theoretically, what we are saying makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Even me, I don't want you to give me 200 bob. Then when you get into office, you don't deliver because, after all, si ulinipatia sombili.
Yeah.
But if we are being honest, it is easier for the law to be applied so that you, as the politician, doesn't come to the ground with your 250 bobs and distribute it. Okay? It is so that when you are arrested, and you know the full effect of the law is applied onto you, that means that the next time you're coming, you won't come and give me money. And that also means that your opponents and the rest of the country, they will not come to the ground and start dishing out money. They'll actually have to come and tell us proper points of how exactly they intend to lead us. All right? And perhaps with time, the culture of voter bribery itakuja kuisha. But as it is right now, as long as the people who are actually in power are the ones dishing out the money, this will just remain that, a theory.
The narrative that you ask for, because everything begins not with a narrative, but with a thought process as to how one can actually make this perspective a reality in terms of what somebody lives with.
Yeah.
How do you get people to understand that that money that they're receiving is actually the beginning and the continuation of their poverty? You see, I don't have money because I don't have a gainful engagement.
Yeah.
I don't have a gainful engagement because the economy of my county is in the doldrums. And yet, every county in this country receives billions of shillings.
Yeah.
It is alleged that there are ghost workers in the county government, okay? And we are told up to 60% and beyond of whatever it is that is given goes to this. Now, that money is not actually intended. 30% is what should actually go to employing people. The rest should go for development, blah, 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 blah.
That's not
initiatives that would ordinarily build the country. Now, when somebody gives you money, what you then see is them doing exactly what they want because they know you already bought and paid for.
Yeah.
The very money that is your money because it's a tax. Even if I'm paid on a daily basis, I pay tax. It's indirect, but I pay. If I board a matatu, I am paying taxes because the fuel levy that this particular owner of the matatu is charged, he passes it on down to me. When I buy that half a kilo of unga, there is a tax on it. There's nothing I do in this country that isn't tax. So there's no one who does not pay tax in this country. Everybody pays taxes. Now, children, we pay taxes on their behalf.
Yeah.
When you buy things for them and so forth. It is not impossible for people to understand and to connect their poverty against a backdrop of monies that that region they come from has never, ever, ever seen.
Yeah.
And how it is manifested by individuals whom they know. Because MCA is somebody who's my neighbor. I know this person because I know I used to give them 100 shillings when they asked for it. Now they're driving a mammoth of an SUV. Okay? The things that we see that have been done with the money, because the beauty of our Kenyans is we like opulence.
Yeah.
They will manifest. Somebody will have things, they'll build a huge house that looks like a school so that people can actually see that now they have arrived. What am I saying? I am saying, broadly, it is not impossible to communicate it. I don't need 10 examples. Your party leader is one of the people I admire because of that particular
principle.
position.
Yeah.
Haki hupewi.
Yeah. Yep.
And she was a 4-term member of parliament.
Yeah.
How do you think she became a 4-term member?
And
was notorious to not give handouts.
And I think that's also why we are calling ourselves liberators, because when the more we talk about this issue, as what City is saying, this is literally a mentality. It is a culture that is set in our minds that has kept us in this slavery. And hence why we are saying we need to liberate ourselves again. And the liberation is of mind first. And then we go into the economic liberation. Because once we understand the dynamic and the power plays in terms of voter bribery and leave alone any sort of political gimmicks to disenfranchise the voters or the people, is literally stealing your future.
I agree with you. Rightly said.
Very well
put. I don't know if you're aware that kitambo matatu within town CBD ungesimamisha place yote na ushuke. As long as actually walikuwa nasema shuka na mataa. For example, if you're coming from Ngong Road, ikifika pale bomb blast, milango zigefunguliwa, watu wanashuka. But nowadays they don't do that. They literally have to get to the designated stop so that you can alight. So that means if it's railways ni railways, OTC ni OTC, na hapo ndipo utashukia. Why? Because makanga na madereva ilifika mahali walikuwa wanashikwa by kanjo, and the penalties were severe. So ilikuwa inafika mahali even you as a passenger you want to alight, makanga anakuambia sifungui mlango, utangoja hadi tufike stage. So if we start arresting politicians and they face the full force of the law, itakuwa inafika mahali mnaambia mheshimiwa nipatie, anakuambia unataka nishikwe. And if that happens to every single one of them, that means no one is giving bribes. Then now the level field has been leveled. Now even now the voter itafika mahali nitakuwa nakuona kama mheshimiwa, I don't even ask for money because I know you won't give me, because even you do not want to be arrested.
And I think the dynamic you're talking about is between now the actual enforcers of the law and the people. Now, case in point here, we have the police, who are the enforcers of the law. And then we also have the electoral, the independent, underline independent, Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Are they really doing their job, or are they facilitating?
They are facilitating.
No, are they doing their job, their actual mandated job? Because these are supposed to be independent institutions where you serve, like for the police, you protect and serve. Exactly. And the other thing for IEBC is an independent, ensure credible, free and fair elections. But what we are seeing, and not just this by-election, by the way, this by-election, this is not the first time this has happened in Kenya. It is not new. If someone was, unless you're from Mars, ama you arrived in Kenya leo asubuhi, this is not new. This is a cyclic manner, and it is because our actors, the actors that have actually been put on the field to ensure to the passage of this democratic process is clear, are co-opted. You know, they are captured by the people in power who say, you know what, forget your mandate, forget that you're being paid by taxpayers' money, and now listen to me. I can direct you. Like, I'm not from Radio Gen, I don't work here. You have a boss. Then may I come and say, by the way, this show now we are no longer talking politics. From now on, we are talking music. You get? I can't come and do that, because you have there's a sovereignty of,
we have autonomy,
exactly, of Radio Gen, and there's even hierarchy in who commands who. But what we see now in our governance and political system is a little capture, complete capture, that independent bodies cannot think independently. They become appendages of the executive.
We had a conversation a few days ago with former Senator Bill Okero, and one of the things that came out is he said that he was in a senatorial committee where they would it was a finance whatever, and they used to check and oversight on county expenditure. And one of the things that he said is that they would recommend, after they've gone through their process, they would recommend to the EACC, and they would say, for example, Diana amepatikana kwa hii scandal, they even give the evidence, and they say kazi kwenu. They do the same with the ODPP, for example, and they do the same with the DCI and all these other agencies. And he said that it would take weeks, months before they would get any response. So they would ask, Allah,
what is the issue?
We gave you a report, Rada, and those guys would be like, that person you're talking about, nimeambiwa niachane naye. So like you've said,
umeambiwa na nani?
Vinye tunasemanga hapa Kenya, powers from above. So as you have said, yes, these commissions and other entities are independent, but by name and on paper.
And the issue is because most of these people who are appointed to head these independent bodies are not there by merit. It is political appointed. So you become beholden to the person who gave you that job. So we need to go back to meritocracy, where it is initially by merit, by my track record, that I am getting appointed into this board. Even with the state corporations, most of these board appointments are really political appointments.
Yes.
So if someone has given me the job, let's say someone has given me the job, I've been appointed by a political actor here, of course I will do their bidding.
Last month, again, we had another conversation with an American representative, the equivalent of an MCA, but she's Kenyan born. She's actually called Hulda.
Yeah.
Hulda came and told us, she's in the state of Minnesota. She told us that, first of all, mshahara yao inakwanga, like, it's more or less like that of a normal person working within that county.
Yeah.
And so it, first of all, it makes that job less lucrative. So you will not get there to enrich yourself. Then number two, I was asking her, do we have cases of voter bribery in the states where people actually come and munapatiwa chai ndio mkwe kwa rally? And she said, try that, my friend, you will spend years in prison. Then number three, I asked her, financing your campaigns, for instance, how that happens.
It has to be.
She said there are rules and regulations as far as that is concerned. You won't just take money from anyone. And she gave us a very good example that she received money from overseas. A relative of hers or a friend, someone, whatever, business person that she knows, sent her money. Ile roho safi zile za, oh, who are you doing this campaign? Shika pesa, wish you all the best. No strings attached. She had to return that money. Why? Because the rules in that country will not allow her to take that money and perhaps disadvantage her competition.
Okay, Mbuvi, we have those rules.
Yeah.
See, yes, we don't have those rules.
We do.
We just suffer with, you know, there's someone, I can't remember his name, that, you know, Kenya has one of the greatest constitutions, right? So, good constitution on paper, lakini the spirit of the constitution,
sasa
hapo ndio
difference yetu na kina Minnesota, and by Minnesota I mean the US, is that now they know how to enforce their laws. Because actually, you try that.
Actually, yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes,
like, there's a guy who's, as I finished, there's a guy, we actually read this story the other day. He's from the musical group called Fugees. That guy has been sentenced due to how many years in prison because he received money and channeled it to the Obama re-election campaign. We're talking about something that happened over a decade ago. And that guy is in prison because of that particular, now they have concluded the case.
And it's a very long jail term.
Now in Kenya, akina Diana wakianza kushikwa kwa sababu walipokea pesa ambayo hawafai kupokea, ama walipatikana wanafanya voter bribery na waanze kwenda jela, perhaps now others will see, we, Diana ameshikwa, oh, Siti ameshikwa, oh, Mbuvi ameshikwa. Now
this is serious.
Yes.
You see the fidelity to the law is there's an unwritten understanding when it comes to the law of any country. And the understanding is quite simple, that we will all abide by the law or with the law. So if you look at the way we drive, we actually tend to abide with the law. We don't break the law. We drive on the left. And when there is a traffic light and it's red, we stop. You're abiding by the law. People who drive go through a certain education and they pass an exam and they're given a document called a driving license. Okay? That is what enables you, this is the law, to drive your car on the left side of the road so long as you're in this country. All right? Now, we find people who are taught to ride their vehicle, it's called a motorbike, in one day, in an open field. And I don't know how on earth they get a license if they have it. They do not abide by any of these things that I'm calling laws, traffic laws. Zero. They drive on the left and on the right. They overtake on the left and on the right. Partly, we think it's just this decision they've made that they will continue breaking the law. In my mind, they actually don't know. Because that carelessness endangers their lives.
Yeah.
They don't know. But how this thing works is when an example is set from the very top. If the leadership abides by the law, the citizenry will just fall in line.
Because ni hao ndio walianzisha kutupatia hiyo pesa.
Yes. what Kenyans refer to as bad manners, which I don't refer to, because it's not bad manners. Theft is not bad manners.
Yeah.
It's theft, and you, the perpetrator, is a thief. It is not bad manners. Bad manners is when you start spitting out in the open and someone saying, Chief, why don't you go and, that's bad manners. Stealing is not bad manners, it's theft.
And it's against the law.
Yes, it is. When it is acceptable for public resources
to be stolen,
then what you've opened the floodgates. What we then do is we employ another Kenyan attribute. We pretend. When we speak, we all speak the same language. We speak about being against corruption, and then we go and perpetrate it to the fullest ability that we can actually master. So, again, the only recourse, you ask the question, Diana, is the citizenry. Why? They are the ones who bear the brunt of all these things that we're talking about. That burden, it doesn't matter how you look at it, it is the citizen who is going to carry it.
And that is what we are seeing. That's what we are seeing, unfortunately, with the outcome of this by-election. It is unfortunate. I actually don't think there are any winners in this by-election. We're all losers as Kenyans. When you see what has happened, when I was seeing the videos, even the night before in Malava, and the amount of violence, and then you're hearing stories in Bere that in the morning, everyone was being given shopping. Yes. There was rounds of going, people, kila boma inapata shopping, na kuambiwa who they are going to vote for. And to me, my heart is breaking, because I'm like, imagine whoever wins this election, or we will say, oh, now ODM is strong and UDA still has a foot in the mountain. But the biggest losers here are all of us as a country.
Actually,
because it shows that our independent, the IEBC, which is an independent body, has failed at their job. We cannot even trust the police to keep people safe.
In regards to the IEBC, number one, how would you rate them as far as the by-elections yesterday are concerned? And what evidence would you use for that particular rating?
Allow me to not just rate them based on the by-election, because it will put me in a box of seeing it like because I am part of the opposition. Allow me to rate it as a Kenyan.
Okay.
Since the time I started voting in this country, the IEBC, it should stop. That needs to be dropped. It's not independent.
Either to EBC.
Yeah. I'm a government electoral body. It is not, because when the government of the day comes, it controls that entity. So how I'd rate IEBC is that, first of all, the same way Kenyans are thinking elections are an event, is the same way the people in that electoral body is thinking about election being an event. They don't pay attention about the process. And Justice Maraga in 2017 made such a great proclamation in his judgment in saying that election is a process, and yet our independent body that is meant to passage this democratic right is treating it as an event. Time and time again. 2022, the same thing happened. And then we are seeing here now midterm, again with the by-election, we are seeing the same thing happen. And I can predict that by 2027, we'll see the same thing happen. Because elections, the institution is toothless and has no spine to be able to be called an actual institution. It is an appendage of what whoever. And I mean, Ruto is the current president here. It is an appendage of Ruto. The president before, it was an appendage of his. So I feel like since the birth of this institution, something went wrong. And it's the same thing with the 2010 constitution. By now, 15 years down the line, we should be a thriving country. But something went wrong. Look at devolution today. The promise of devolution is to get service delivery to every corner of this country. But when you look at devolution now, it is devolved corruption, where you are seeing elitist families now coming up and the people are remaining poorer. There is something that went wrong that we need to go back to from 2010. There is something that went wrong that has kept us in this cyclic nature, that we have this great promise, this structure of governance, that this great promise to the Kenyans that will meet this Kenyan dream.
Diana, I would like us, because the by-elections are still fresh in our minds, point out something that has happened in yesterday's election, including the process, that you can say, because of this, I am faulting IEBC?
I would say the beginning is that there are some places where agents were not allowed in their polling stations.
Okay.
We had also indications that we saw on social media and also on news broadcasting stations where a whole cabinet secretary commanded a polling station. Right?
Okay.
We also have instances where before the election we are seeing government machinery using public funds. You know, there's no political party called government. Hakuna. Hakuna.
In the constitution ni gani?
Hakuna political party inaitwa government.
Lakini in practice in Kenya iko.
Yeah, in Kenya yes iko, lakini haifai kuwa. Hakuna. You can't use public resources to campaign. But we saw that. Right? And then now we see now on the day of tallying, we've seen a lot of monkey business happening at night. Right? Where all of a sudden the ballot box is atuko sure iko wapi, and we have to wait, and we're not even sure where the ballot box paper is. We have stories of people saying that there were extra ballot boxes in certain places. So for me as a spectator, because I was not
voting in any of the wards,
in any of the
elections.
Yes, as a spectator, I don't have trust in IBC when I see this happening. Absolutely zero trust.
Okay. All right.
What can they actually do?
What can they actually do?
In this case, like for example, in when the CS that you're talking about commanded the polling station,
what can they do?
Not just the IBC, the police. The police, that is why the police are deployed in elections, is to ensure they protect and serve, but they forget their mandate. And what they can do is remember that they were not put there. I mean, IBC is not just the commissioners. We have the CEO of the commission, of the body. We have the presiding officers. We have the returning officers. We have all these officers. And they need to remember, because I feel like they have absconded. They have forgotten that they are in that institution as a public servant. What does a public servant do?
I agree with you, Diana, 150%. But I'm looking at a scenario, and this is just me now, just thinking out loud. I'm looking at a scenario whereby I want to arrest this CS, for instance, who's come and has done. So me, I'm a police officer manning this polling station. I have my rifle. I'm in my police fatigues or whatever. Then CT walks in as a CS, and I actually even see him bribing people.
I knew you were going to go there. Anyway.
Yeah, and I actually see him anatoa pesa hivi anashika, good, usinisahau. So now City has also officers with him, and chances are even those officers outrank me as this uniformed police officer. Sasa niende kushika City, bodyguards wake wanani outrank, perhaps, maybe, or even he's working with someone who is outranking me as far as the police force is concerned.
Nitasema usiuziwe uoga. Fear is what is keeping us in this slavery of thinking. Because you have a mandate as a police officer that if you see someone breaking the law,
right,
that you arrest them. We've gotten there. There's a point in 2002, I remember, Kenyans were actually, there was even citizen arrests where Kenyans were actually arresting and taken to the police station policemen who were caught bribing on the road. We have been there before as a country. There was some hope during when we ushered or kicked out Moi and the ushering of Kibaki administration, where we actually had hope that things are going to change. And they did change for a moment. And it's just a matter of people remembering. And I mean, the holders of this office, it doesn't matter your rank, because you swore. There's something you swore, you individually. It wasn't your boss who swore and then sasa wewe you didn't swear anything. You as an individual. And that's what I'm talking about, the mind liberation. We must liberate ourselves from thinking that I can't do this because of my
rank.
My rank.
Yeah.
Aren't you be earning a salary? See, basi then you say, then because I didn't do this, let me not take that salary because hata hakuna kazi nimefanya.
And the reason I've brought this up is because, it's actually a reality on the ground.
It's true.
It's a reality on the ground. Me, I have witnessed at a police station a situation whereby you can see the OCS misbehaving in front of his juniors, and nobody, this person is committing a crime.
I think it's because of the fear of also the repercussions.
And nobody dares tell this OCS, afande tulia. No one. And we're talking about one officer, this is the OCS, in the presence of dozens of officers. And when I look at that situation, and this is something internal, now I bring it to the outside and I'm thinking, what can this person do to this CS who has literally the power. This guy can actually, and this is me thinking out loud, can literally call the president and tell me, hapa kuna afisa anaitwa Diana ananisumbua. And kidogo Diana, you get a phone call from Vigilance House, and then end of story.
That's what I am saying. There's that happens.
Yeah.
But people need to remember that the president himself cannot command a police officer. That's why we have an inspector general
in this country.
He cannot. But even if you say in this country,
constitutionally he can't.
Yes, this is what happens. When will it stop? It will stop the moment we say it will stop. That is the issue here. Actually, I believe that we know what we don't want. This whole thing of one term and everything, Kenyans know what they don't want.
Me, I've seen a CS commanding an officer to arrest someone. Unasikia, I don't want to find officer, and you see the officer, and you're like, but that person shouldn't command you.
Yeah. I think the issue is that we know what we don't want, and we can actually even describe the issues. We don't know what we want. Okay. We haven't properly, as a nation, collectively agreed on. You see the 202 moment, the nation agreed that we do not want President Moi.
Yeah.
It was
But I also think for 2002, President Moi decided that he was going to step down. I and this is my opinion and perspective. If President Moi didn't want to, that 2002 election would have just been an election.
No, you're forgetting the agitation to remove President Moi did not start and end in 2002.
Yes.
It was a series of events until he saw that the Kenyans had really investigated this problem. They had seen it. There were young voices who are coming to educate the people and say, listen, this is not how we envisaged our country at independence, that we need to have a better country here. And this other person, even the opposition seems to be running around this other person who was Kibaki. And I think that is when, because it's not that even that Moi was like, okay, I'm not running again. He had endorsed Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
He wanted Uhuru Kenyatta to win. He was campaigning for Uhuru Kenyatta. And it is not because he didn't want him to win. The Kenyans themselves, at that time, there was an overwhelming support that, you know what, we are done with the KANU rule. And we want something new because it has not served us. And that is why I'm saying that's why we find ourselves in this issue now today. Yeah. We are very good at this is what is wrong in Kenya, these laws are not doing this. But if we are to go around and ask people collectively, okay, so what do we want? You'll hear so many different answers. So until we can all agree as Kenyans that this is the direction we want our country to go, and this is what it will mean, and this is the caliber of leader that we think will get us there, that's when we'll see some true action.
I have a question. Because during these campaigns, and let me pick out Mbeere North as the example that you shall use here, I saw overwhelming crowds attending rallies that were being held by the UDA candidates. And of course, you could see the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, there with him. And at one point, even the President was there. And several other individuals, CSs, also on the campaign trail, campaigning for this individual. But before the by-elections became what they became, before they became heated, there was an overwhelming, from what we saw, an overwhelming chant of one term. People saying they do not want the president anymore. People calling the deputy president, Professor Kithure Kindiki, names. Mara Soprano, this, Nini, and many other names that we know of, right? But still, we saw those crowds. So it makes me question, these people chanting these one-term slogans and the president must go slogans, are they just that? Are they just slogans that even sycophants of the president are singing, but deep down their heart, they still love this particular presidency, they still love this government, and they still love this administration, and they are willing to support it even in 2027?
I think, let me just correct you in some way saying love. Love is such a strong emotion.
Okay.
I do not think people love this administration because of when you see the amount of despondency across the country. And when the slogan one term came, it was to capture the imagination of Kenyans who at that time were looking like hopeless, that how will we ever remove this current regime out of power. So one term is a step in the door to get people thinking that it is possible. But it doesn't stop there. And just because we saw big crowds in Mbeere when the UDA candidate was campaigning,
right?
I mean, hata mimi naweza funga shop nisikie alafu niseme ai huyu amenidanganya. It doesn't, I mean, we are a democracy where I can listen to this candidate and listen
whether
to
you
this
like them or
candidate
not.
and decide that, you know what, I don't like what this person is saying, I like what this person is saying.
Okay.
So if we box ourselves to thinking that, oh, we saw the crowd but we had also the many chance of one term, and look at it now that now the UDA candidate has won, then we box ourselves to just thinking in terms of who had a bigger rally than the other. And that is not the basis of our democracy. That is not what gives us good governance.
Okay.
What gives us good governance is identifying what are our issues and who will solve these issues. So I would say that one term is a great step in the door in terms of making people, because at some point, after the Gen Z protests, there was so much despondency because of the, let me say, the harsh hand of the law or the government that decided, abductions started happening.
Yes.
Forced disappearances started happening. And people from now that great high of the Gen Z revolution and uprising to now seeing how hard hitting the government was going, how far it was willing to go, and people were feeling hopeless. So when the one term thing came in, it is part of that mental slavery that we are trying to unlock.
Yeah.
To be like, by the way, even Moi or any other dictator has fallen. I say dictator because the current president, William Ruto, has shown signs and symptoms
of dictatorship.
And what we are saying, like my party leader said, is that we are not going to allow him to graduate. We are not, Kenya is one of the most mature democracies in this region, and we are not going to allow him to graduate. So one term is a step in the door to let people know that, imagine it is possible, despite all these things we are seeing, despite all the fear that is being perpetuated on the people, the intimidation, the bribery, despite all these things that the government are doing, that it is a possibility that William Ruto will serve one term.
The reason why I brought up this whole issue of sloganeering, and of course, it's because, to be honest, if I divorce a wife, for example, you know me, I divorce you completely, including your family. Like, I want nothing to do with you guys.
Yeah.
If we had a child together, that's the only focus I have. All right. Now, from my understanding, again, me, I'm not a political pundit. I'm just a presenter. I'm a moderator of conversations. When I looked at the nation during last year's Maandamano and even the ones that happened during this year, when we were remembering the deaths of the folks of Rex Masai and his people, and then of course looking at what happened during Sabasaba, in my view and in my mind and in my head, I knew from what I saw that people want nothing to do with the Kenya Kwanza administration. So that means anyone and anything associated with that particular government, including the UDA as a party, and now that we have ODM in the broad-based government, I actually thought that watu wamesema hii kitu inaitwa broad-based government, including the president, hatuitaki. But now I am looking at some of the wins that came out from yesterday. Members from the UDA party have won. Personally, I have nothing against these leaders, but I'm just questioning. Na hii kazi yote tulikuwa tunasema one term president must go nini. What exactly happened?
And I want to just say that's why we need to define what exactly is a win. Right? We need to define exactly what exactly is a win.
Because I expected
you can win on paper, and I mean the ruling party did everything it could possibly do, legally and illegally, to ensure that they do win seats in this by-election. Because if they didn't win, this would be a second vote of no confidence. Right? So it is in William Ruto's interest to ensure, legally or illegally, that they win.
Okay.
Yeah, that they win seats in this by-election.
Right.
And there are also stories, I don't know whether you heard, that even in Berep, as people were being given shopping, some were even told, usiende, you don't have to go and vote. So just to ensure low voter turnout, because with low voter turnout, history has shown the low voter turnout and the low voter apathy is room for vote manipulation.
Yeah.
But so is a high voter turnout.
Explain how.
You see, when you have a high voter turnout, it makes it possible for somebody to bump, not too much, just to bump the vote just a little more, because it is clear that there were very many people.
Yeah.
So one doesn't question that a couple of hundreds. But in the arithmetic and the algorithm of electioneering fraud, you do that over different areas, so the numbers add up. You actually don't notice it because it's not as though they've given you 1 million people, just a few. But when you've done it's 10 areas, you get the numbers that you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes they argue that when there's a low turnout, it's even harder. But what is easy about a by-election is the government can focus its entire attention.
Yes, to one specific place.
On these few places. A general election is too diverse. But this one, it is not difficult for the government in power to do what they want to do because it's just a few places anyway. Because there were UDA candidates or representatives in some of the other areas. But what you will see is that the party that was strong in that area is the one which is likely to win.
To win.
Yes. Now, I don't think that for those who are in the so-called united opposition, this is necessarily a bad thing. No. You now know what you need to do to prepare. Because you've been told. We in the media have been hyping this election. I think we've been hyping the wrong thing, in my opinion. What needs to be done in educating the citizenry with reference to the election, the blueprint has been laid out.
Yes.
It is now for those in the united opposition to take advantage of the information they have.
We want to take a short break, Dana. Just I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No problem.
We need to take a short break. We do the news, but when we return, we can pick it up from there. Sawa sawa. All right, folks, don't go too far. We will be right back.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. David Wanyoike Warui of the Democracy for Citizens Party has won the Kariobangi North Ward by-election after garnering 2,282 votes, according to results announced by IBC at the Tallying Center. Independent candidate Kemanzi John Katua followed with 1,956 votes, while Michael Ouma Majua of ODM finished third with 1,351 votes. Njoka Julius Maina of UDA received 955 votes, and Peter Kariuki of KANU got 220 votes.
Asante kwa kila mtu wenye walinichagua na wale pia wakunichagua, na kitu pia ningependa kujulisha watu wa Kariobangi, siasa si uadui. Lazima maisha yetu iendelee. Wale tulikuwa tunashindana nao nitawaaccommodate, tufanye kazi nao. Na mimi niko tayari na hii kazi. Na nina promise watu wa Kariobangi sitawaangusha. So na kitu kingine ningependa kusema kwa Wakenya. Nairobi ikiongea ni Kenya imeongea. Na hapa DCP imeonyeshana mwelekeo. Hii siasa ikukuwa tu about kutafuta kiti ya DCP. Ili kwetu onyesha vile 2027 kutakuwa, na imeonyesha Nairobi tutapita na viti zote.
David Ndakwa of the United Democratic Alliance has officially been declared the winner of Malava constituency by-election held on Thursday, narrowly defeating his closest rival. Returning officer Salim Abdallah Salim announced the results, confirming that Ndakwa secured 21,564 votes. He edged out Seth Panyako of the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, who received 20,210 votes in a closely fought contest. Wilberforce Indai of Kenya Moja finished third with 626 votes. Boyd Were, representing the Orange Democratic Movement, has emerged as the winner of the Kasipul parliamentary by-election, taking over from his late father Charles Ongondo Were. The Independent Election Boundaries Commission confirmed that Were collected 16,819 votes, surpassing independent candidate Philip Aroko, who received 8,476 votes.
I now want to hand over the certificate to the MP elect. Honorable Ongondo Boyd Were.
least 23 people have been arrested and 15 vehicles as well as 2 motorbikes have been impounded after crude weapons were found during the Kasipul by-election, which was marked by violence. Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma and his bodyguard were injured in an altercation at Agoro Sari Primary School, where they were allegedly attacked by supporters of independent candidate Philip Aroko. The MP's bodyguard lost his firearm during the chaos, though it has since been recovered.
Violence or assault to the MP in the strongest terms possible, because at this age we don't need to experience such acts of violence. It was an unfortunate act. That act escalated tensions among the constituents.
The Trump administration has said it will re-examine green cards issued to individuals who migrated to the U.S. from 19 countries. The head of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Joseph Edlow, said the president had directed him to conduct a full-scale, rigorous re-examination of every green card for every alien from every country of concern. When asked which countries were on the list, the agency pointed to a June proclamation by the White House that included Afghanistan, Cuba, Haiti, Iran, Somalia, and Venezuela. The announcement comes in the wake of an Afghan national allegedly shooting 2 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, gravely injuring them both. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Welcome back. Siti ataka kunichapa, guys. This is an official statement to the police. So in case munione na dent, kesho mujue ni Siti. Guys, I hope you're ready to go to the Somali Cultural and Arts Festival that is taking place at the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center. The gates opened about an hour ago, so if you haven't made your way there, please go. And it's going to be happening today, tomorrow, and the day after. So that means the last day is Sunday. Na tusikuwa tu last minute, tuanze mapema, tunasemanga mapema ndio best. We have food, arts, culture, and other things to immerse yourself in. So if you haven't made your way, you're hearing this for the very first time, well, head on over to the Two Rivers Lifestyle Center. That's where you'll find all the good things going on. Meanwhile, in studio, we do have the Youth League, a Youth League member from the People's Liberation Party, that is Diana Ngao. Diana, what exactly is the position you hold? You're just a very good, diligent member of the party.
I'm also a member of the National Management Committee of the People's Liberation Party. I serve as the communications director in that management committee. But I'm also a member of the Youth League.
Yes.
Because I am a youth and politics inanihusu.
Yes. All right, good stuff. In the previous Akipole nilikukata.
I know. I was going to say,
yes,
to City's point about that now the United Opposition now knows how the ruling party plans to win the next general election. And that is a good point, that they have laid a blueprint. But I want to also say is that the United Opposition, people need to stop looking at the United Opposition based on the principles they see as the United Opposition. The opposition is the country, is the Kenyans. Because what we are opposing is bad governance. All of us will agree on that, right? What we are opposing is corruption, the rampant corruption. Yani, corruption has become so high in this country. You know, what we want is service delivery. So we are opposing this Ruto brand of governance. Tumeikata. So when we say United Opposition, it is calling Kenyans to rally and unite towards opposing this brand or this style of governance, and saying that it is possible for us to usher in a new kind of governance that is for the people and by the people.
Yeah. And I was just asking you when we were off air about accountability during the elections.
Yeah.
And I heard so much about the way Kenyans in 2027 will be out there to ensure that the rigging is not done in that particular election. People are going to be there with their phones, ensuring that they document. They go live on TikTok, they go live on X, they go live on Facebook, and they go live on YouTube just to ensure that polling station A, kila kitu iko shwari, no voter bribery, no stuffing of boxes and so on and so forth. But we are hearing of reports, unverified of course, that it happened. Sijaona video hata moja, apart from a few people here and there running after each other and fighting, but of actual stuffing of ballot boxes sijaona. Of actual what is it called, boxes being brought from God knows where, sijaona.
Bado sijaona.
Kuna time inangoja ndio itolewe.
Utaiona tu.
What you're saying here
yes,
is that, by the way, going live on TikTok, people did go live on TikTok. People did document, because us in this room, we didn't go to Mbere, we were not in Malava, but we were able to talk about what happened because we saw what was happening on social media live, not even on the
news channels.
We were seeing people actually sharing their experiences, which is one great step of vigilance, right? But you know, there are people who are paid to usher a free, fair and credible election. So we are the watchdogs, but there are people mandated, who are the IEBC officials, mandated to ferry a free and fair election. So yes, the citizens are doing their job. They are vigilant. Because some of these things would have been pushed uko on the side. They wouldn't have been visible, wouldn't be seeing all the fights and a CS actually walking into to command a polling station. Atungeona hizo vitu. Atungeona, but now we are able to see it because of citizens actually remaining vigilant and wanting to let's just say publish and show people this is what is happening in my constituency or in my ward or in my polling station. But when you talk about evidence in terms of, maybe we'll see it, as City said, I mean, this is just the morning of
Bado ni mapema.
But the people who are vigilant are not the people stuffing the ballot boxes. Mimi kama nimelipa kustuff ballot boxes, nitakuwa live kuonesha evidence. Hata mwizi akienda kukuibia haiwezi kuenda na simu live. Niko live na TikTok, nimeingia
or you call in advance and say I'm coming to rob you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
These things are done at night, and I even tweeted and I said elections are stolen at night.
At night, in the cover of darkness.
In the cover of darkness. But the moment people put phones on and show live, then the fear will set of accountability, because most of these people do not want the transparency.
All right. What do you think of the Gen Z turnout as far as yesterday's by-elections are concerned?
Well, across the board, not just Gen Zs, there was voter apathy. There was not good turnout. I don't know why CT is laughing.
Let me tell you, CT for a very long time has been saying that there is nothing new we shall see in 2027 as far as the participation of Gen Zs are concerned. You're saying that they're an untested lot, so let's wait and see if indeed they'll make any impact. So yesterday is kind of sort of validating his statement.
And I think it also ties into the low voter turnout, ties into also the continuous voter registration that we saw. It's also been low. Now, one thing that we did well, that they did well as Gen Zs and even millennials, let me put my generation in that, and even as millennials, is the mobilization that we saw and the civic consciousness that we saw come out in 2024. Where we failed is realizing that for us to change this status quo of power, it is not done by the roadside. It is done in political parties, because political parties are formed to gain power. So Gen Zs, number one, should join political parties or form them, because that is the only way we'll be able to change what we are calling, what the accountability issues that we were calling for during the Gen Z protests. You know, the fair economic tax policies that we were calling for in 2024. Now, that was a good step. But the second step that we need to now get to, leading to 2027, is join political parties. Join political parties. And by the way, political parties also have an issue of putting youth as wingers. But I'm glad that my political party has ensured that we are at the table and making this decision.
Muko kwa high table.
Tuko kwa table. But all I'm just saying is that the only way we can actually change a political culture is by in the political space. You can't change a game as a spectator. You can only change the game in the arena.
Kuna watu of course walisema wakati huo wa maandamano, partyless, leaderless, tribeless and many other lessons that I'm forgetting right now. They clearly do not want to have a party. They clearly haven't identified someone they would identify and say, all right, let Diana lead us in this quest of capturing power.
Paul.
Yes,
Paul,
sir.
May I just say something?
By all means.
You see, Diana, let me start with you. Political parties aren't just formed to take power. If we start that narrative and end with it, we are leading ourselves down a path that we actually do not want. Political parties want power to do certain things.
Yes.
So they must say those things that they want to do. Beyond just stopping at they want the power. It's not just the power. The power is what enables you
to actually
yes, to bring about all these things that would bring about the change that you want. That's number one. If you give thought to the Gen Z discussion about partyless, leaderless and all that, I've had time to reflect it. The sum total of what they were saying was, we are different from these people here. Who are in parties, who have leaders, who go about their business this way. In my mind, that's what you're saying. Please understand that we are different from you. And we are not going to go the route that you're going. Why? They seem to have identified political parties as part of the problems. The leadership in the political parties is part of the problem. And they were creating distance between them and the political party. This is what I've come to see. I used to criticize this partyless, leaderless thing, and then I gave it thought and realized I was actually being unfair in my understanding of it. There are certain processes that must be given not just recognition, but due credit. Whatever it is that these Kenyans we refer to as the Gen Zs did, created something that the entire world has responded to.
Yeah, the entire world.
Yes, it's the entire world. We had a UN rapporteur for youth affairs and something he came to Kenya specifically to study. They wanted to study this phenomenon because it had never been seen.
Yeah.
They wanted to say, how do you guys get to do this and how does it move? Now, the movement forward cannot be by simply saying the Gen Zs didn't get it right. Actually, they did get it right. The awakening of the conscious is how you begin change. Because change is in the mind and in the process of the mind. Because the manifestation of it, which is the action, is what we judge without necessarily asking ourselves what is behind what we are seeing. The dire need for survival, by whatever means, is an action that we see. Bribery, that is a manifestation.
Yeah.
Goons
and intimidation.
That is the manifestation. Yet, the narrative that these people have when they want your vote is what they are going to do that will change your life. And yet, we don't seem to see that when the actual time for making that decision through the ballot, what they are showing you is how they're going to cause harm to you. And then, foolish you forget what they have shown you in broad daylight and think that this individual is someone different who, when they have that power, they'll do something better with it. Foolish you. Please take note of what someone shows you. Sometimes they even tell you, but when they show you, please do not forget what you have seen. It doesn't matter what you say. How do you have a situation where young people who we know are supposed to represent a better future, being the representatives of this extensive violence that we have seen? How?
And I think I agree partly to what you're saying, but the issue here is that political parties give birth to this kind of leaders that are here. The leaders do not enter these elective positions in a vacuum. it is cultured in the political parties. And true to it, what CT is saying, yes, Gen Z's made an impact. I'm not saying that they didn't make an impact, but for us to sustain the impact of that uprising and civic consciousness is that we must be actors and players in this game of politics. And how do we do that? Is that what are the places where these political decisions are made that decide that this is going to be someone who has been known for corruption is going to be our candidate, because that is where these things are birthed, right? That because I have a skewed track record, I am known to be a thief, and yet my party is there propping me up. That is where our governance issues begin. That also parties who have no proper ideological standing, become populists, and then when they gain power, nothing is done.
Yeah.
What the Gen Zs showed us is that indeed they don't want this brand, they don't want this status quo, the partyless, the leaderless, and the tribeless, right? However, for us to be part of this change, we cannot change governance through a vacuum. It is through political parties, and that's why I'm calling for youth, as many youth, to join a political party of your choice to change it to your being, because or
why not just form your own if you must?
Exactly, I also said, or form your own political party with your ideology. Because one thing that we've seen with the Gen Zs is that they are issue-based. And they can form political parties or join political parties and inform the policy direction of that political party. But if we stand at the sidelines and say, hey, maze, mambo ya political party staki, then we are playing to the tune of the oppressors, because the same people who are in these political parties who allow such I don't call it bad manners, as Siti has said. It's not bad manners, but
bad manners.
But who have propagated this poor, and I don't even want to how to say that this political culture that has made us in this oppressive state, has put us in this oppressive state, and this cyclic bad governance state is by us being part of the process. I enter a political party, and this is how I mobilize my youth to join these political parties. We get on the table and we demand that this is what happened. That is what also the Young Turks of the 90s did. They joined these political parties. They answered the call to leadership.
Actually, some created their own political parties.
Yes.
I want to ask you, because you are in a political party, you found it already established and you joined. How would you handle having a different view from perhaps even your party leader?
Yeah.
How would you handle that? Would you confront this leadership, or would you start a revolt within the party, or would you exit and perhaps join another one or form another one?
Let me just say that being part of a political party doesn't mean that you leave your brain at the door and you do not have differing views.
Okay.
What brings us together in a political party is the ideological direction that we all agree in. Sometimes we may disagree inside the party on the how, but we know that this is why we are here. So disagreeing with your party leader or a party leadership isn't tantamount to you now exiting the party. There are ways that even here, let's say even at Radio Gen, you can disagree with your boss, you can disagree with your colleague, but that doesn't mean that now because I've disagreed on this issue, I quit. You agree to disagree, because that is a tenet of democracy, that we have divergent views, and we accommodate it, and we are tolerant, and we can decide to stick that, but in the issue of, like, there's a time we were having such a big debate on the issue of CDF at the youth league of the party, and some of them were like, CDF should continue, but I'm like, no, it's already been illegal. But that doesn't mean that because now we have made there are people in the party who are like, no, we need CDF because of bursaries, and I am of the opinion that no, CDF is illegal, and if anything, it's a duplication of resources. So does that mean now I leave this party because this is the discussion is going? No, I came in here with my own beliefs. The only thing that brings us together as a collective is the ideological direction that we have agreed. And even far more is that for us, or for me at PLP, I truly believe in a Martha Karua presidency and leadership. Because she has shown, if you look at her track record, it is the way she has worked in Kenya, her public service record, instills confidence in me that, by the way, in her leadership, we can truly get to the Kenya that I believe that I can live for my children.
I'll ask you about Martha Karua presidency shortly, but again, the reason why I brought up this whole issue of differences in the party and how you'd handle them is because we have seen what happens in parliament, for instance, where you can clearly tell the MPs have decided to vote in certain ways because of what the leadership of the party has told them. So just because the party leader has said this is the direction we are taking, now all 200, 300 plus MPs will vote in that particular direction. And it's like what you said, using your words, they have left their brain kwa mlango. You see, the young people have gotten to a point whereby they are very antagonistic, and they have every right to be like so. They will not take anything lying down. They will ask why. They will ask for what purpose, and they'll ask up until when. And if those questions are not answered, you know them, they just take off, and they do their own stuff. So, and you've answered me, and you told me that even within the party, there is a process, and we shall judge you when the time comes, when you people capture power. Now, there's a question here, or rather a statement. Let me just see if I can read it real fast.
When you people are elected into power.
Yeah, when they capture power.
No, he's saying elected.
See, that's how they will capture. See, that's how they will capture it.
When you capture, it's like you are enacting a coup.
No. Bro, nime shorten to your process. Sitaanza kwambia when you campaign and then you win elections. No. When they capture, hopefully not through a coup.
When they are elected.
Aya, so hapa kuna mtu amesema hivi, where is this? Madam, kama mngeshinda bado ungeongea hivi kweli. What was your party leader's position after the contentious 2007 elections?
I think even if our candidate at Chewani Ward would have won the election, I would still speak. It's in Tana River, Tana River County. I would still say talk about the issues that we have seen during this by-election, because I mean, whether he won or lost, these remain issues that affect our election cycles. In regards to my party leader Martha Karua's position in 2007, she was an agent. Just like we've seen different agents here at IEBC and different polling centers, like Deputy Party Leader Malala, right? We saw him as an agent. We saw Kalume as an agent. She was an agent of Kibaki. And that was her preferred candidate. Just the same way Orengo's preferred candidate was the late Raila Amolo Odinga. Shida hapo ni gani? What is the problem?
All right.
She was not supposed to have a choice. Because when you start saying what was her position was clear. She wanted to support Kibaki, and she was there as his candidate, as his agent.
There's someone who has what I would call this advice for the united opposition, and this is what Okanda Jr. is saying. The fact that the opposition only believes that they lose elections because of government malpractices and not their own deficiencies in campaigning and mobilization is living in denial, and such sentiments only worsen their position in the minds of the people. Do you believe that perhaps the mobilization and the strategies that the united opposition has currently are not sufficient to help you clinch seats, power, or whatever it is that we are looking for?
I can't base that thinking as to that's why we have voter bribery, and that's why we shouldn't be. I mean, it means everything to all of us that IBC ferries a free, fair, and credible election, whether I'm a participant in the election or I am not. So even with the mobilization strategies of the united opposition, by the way, we have to remember that even the places where the UDA candidate or the government candidate, pro-government candidate has won, they have won with such a thin margin. And that shows that indeed that people are listening and buying into the united opposition's narrative, that indeed it's possible that we could get this. I mean, look at even Mbere, it was small margins of winning. So I think the united opposition have done their best. They have done their best in terms of mobilizing. Is there room for improvement? Of course there's room for improvement. If anything, this by-election was just a litmus test of what we could do for 2027. And if anything, what the government has done is shown us how they are going to win. And now it is up to us as the united opposition. And by the way, I don't like saying us as the united opposition. All of us people who are of like-minded and want to see a different kind of governance in this country rally behind and say, you know what, now we know better. Now we know how better we are going to guard our vote. Now we know how better we are going to be vigilant during a process. We know how better to mobilize and ensure that people, vulnerable people, are not swayed the night before or the morning of the election. So I honestly think that that question puts us in a box in thinking that the united opposition is a problem. No, they are not the problem. They are doing their job.
Diana, you know, the Gen Z discussion is an interesting one, especially when we refer to this group that talks and calls itself the united opposition. I see nothing united about them myself. So the best I can say is they call themselves the united opposition. If we were to simply discuss the Gen Z and their participation in this by-election, and the mobilization required for them to participate. Would you say that it injects hope in over 2027 participation of Gen Zs to the point where they can actually change the outcome of an election?
Sorry, you're saying?
Can the Gen Z participation change the outcome of an election if we look at the participation in this particular by-election?
If we base it in this by-election, we also saw a lot of voter apathy. And remember, there was no continuous voter registration in places that had by-elections. So there are some Gen Zs who are locked out from participating in this. I mean, people, first-time voters who are locked out from participating in this this by-election. But leading to 2027, you know, the thing is, I'm a believer of time exposes things and actually makes people change their mind. So indeed, there is still hope that the Gen Z participation, and not just the Gen Zs, I'm Team Gen Zote. The Gen Zs can light the fire, but the rest of the generations can join them.
They have the numbers.
They have the numbers.
Have phenomenal numbers. But what I was leading towards is not this normal discussion about what they can do and what they won't do. Remember, IBC told us that in the last election, 8 million registered voters did not participate.
Yes.
The last election, 2022, was won by 200,000 votes. 8 million. If I go by the demographics that we know, that the Gen Z comprise, say, 70% of our population, then you're saying there are 56 million Gen Zs. No, 5.6 million Gen Zs who did not vote. Now, I'm actually not concerned about the Gen Zs voting or not voting. What I'm concerned about are Gen Zs who support the government. Because if there are people who support the group that refers to itself as the
United.
Thank you so much. United opposition. There are those who also support this group that refers to them as, what are they called?
Two-term.
No, there's this other term they use when ODM joined, broad-based.
Oh yes,
okay?
Broad-based.
See, the Gen Z who support the government are a reality. Just like there are the Gen Z who do not want to be involved in politics. Then there are the Gen Zs, or as we know it, then the Gen Z who support the group that refers to itself as the United Opposition.
Yes.
The issue isn't convincing those who already
have made the decision.
Yes.
Yes.
The issue is understanding the numbers of those who support the people that you want to compete with. Those who are in this political race, do they have the wherewithal to get these numbers to understand that they need to move from wherever they're into this other side?
I think so, and the gift that they have is the time between now and 2027 to be able to capture the imagination of the Gen Zs who are apathetic. and do not want to participate in the political process. So indeed they do. That's why I'm saying there's hope and there's time. Time is on our side. If we're having this conversation in 2027, perhaps my answer would be different. But time is on our side. Between now and 2027, the Gen Zs that are apathetic can be convinced, because their ears and their eyes and their lived experiences in Kenya remain open. The ones who've decided, the Gen Zs who've decided to support government, that is their decision, and we respect it. Let them continue doing that. If they at any point midstream decide to change, our doors are open. But our job, not just as a united opposition, but Kenyans of like-minded, is to have such conversations and actually identify and paint a picture of the Kenya we want and the leadership we want. And look within the united opposition. Many of them have said that they want to run for presidency. And look within the united opposition and say, out of all these leaders who have offered themselves, who will be the one to ferry us to this promised land?
You know, your party leader has a good track record.
Yeah.
I personally know of an excellent track record she has, because the region that I come from benefited immensely from her when she was Minister for Water. We had an MP then who understood that government resources could actually be utilized to help. And because of the pro-development attitude that was clearly shown, a lot of things, I'll tell you what happens. There's a river called the Nyando River.
Yeah.
Floods perennially, and it gives people problems like you can't imagine. Some of us moved from that region and moved to a region that doesn't have that problem, to a settlement scheme, simply because of that flooding.
Yeah.
There was a member of parliament for that region who utilized the resources of the water department to dredge that river and to open up water pans and to make sure distributaries were also dredged. So when water came, it had a place to pass through. There was no flooding. Water department. Martha Karua was in charge.
Yes.
I'm going somewhere with this. Some of the people you're with in the united opposition are not inspiring at all.
Yes.
Oh, you know?
Yes, I know.
Okay. So when you lose the election, you'll know why.
No, it's not. Listen, to change a country, it's like we are in this house and we are brothers and sisters, right? How your brother does some things, you may not agree, or rather me as a sister may not agree. But one thing that we know for sure is that if we all collectively agree that we are moving our resources, we are pushing our resources, we are investing our time to go around the country and actually say that Kenya needs a liberation, right? Now, our job as Kenyans, once this dream is sold, this menu of leaders are going around the country, our job as Kenyans is to investigate and see, out of all these 8 or whatever principles, who has the track record to take us there. Because you see, the thing is, we won't have 8 presidents if everyone was to vote for the united opposition, will we? We'll have one. And just as Siti said earlier in this, that the leadership, or rather, like the fish rots from the head. So if we have a Martha Karua, like for me, I am Team Martha Karua. If we have a Martha Karua presidency, then for sure I am inspired and I know that her government will be a government that delivers. There is no public office she has held and she has not delivered. You know, and she's a person of integrity. And those are some of the issues we have been fighting in this country. Yeah. She's one of the few people who actually quit ministerial position on principle. And decided to let go of the benefits that position gave her and continued to fight for Kenyans even when she's been out of government, right? She inspires me and she inspires a lot of other Kenyans that this is the kind of leader we need. Yeah. So it's not about looking at who are the other people around, because you see, the thing is, once the president or the presidential candidate is decided upon, then all the resources on the mobilization is done to support that president. Okay. So right now, it is for Kenyans to agree and decide that is which of these principles who have offered themselves, and leave alone just the united opposition. Let's even go to Justice Maraga and all these other people. Who are the people who will ferry us to this promised land that we want to go to? So it's not about. I'm of opinion that we need everyone. We need everyone, and if anything, just like the way a rotten
fish,
and not even a rotten fish.
Apple.
I'm just saying that good behaviors can also influence people who have bad behaviors to see and say, kumbe.
That is actually true, so long as you're not referring to politicians. Politicians in Kenya.
It is possible.
There's a comment here by Derek Nyabere amesema sioni kama Gen Z nitasimama kwa line kulisha msee yeyote. And then I want to connect it with one that has been said by 2.0. Anasema there is nothing like Gen Z in politics. Nobody ever walks into a polling station calling himself Gen Z. I pity the ODM rebels who were relying on the so-called Gen Z. Sasa si mumejionea. I think what he's trying to say in very many words, what he's trying to say in very many words is the fact that we cannot really rely on the Gen Z vote. And by we, I mean you as politicians shouldn't rely on the Gen Z vote. Because I remember hosting a lot of people here, and one of the questions I asked them, hey, Gen Z wameenda kwa ground wamezusha, these guys are saying that they want change. What do you have in store for them? And leader after leader, including your own, did say that, you know, this is what we are planning for them. First of all, integrate them into the party, support them, make sure they seek elective positions, and that's good. But now, as we can see, vitu kwa ground kidogo ni kama you might need to rethink this as politicians.
But Paul, the politicians are speaking about a political process that they understand in the way that they understand it. It is no wonder it's being rejected by the Gen Zs. How do the Gen Zs understand the political process? How would they like to participate if they were to participate?
Tukienda na Derek Nyaberi saying that he is not going to stand in line and vote for Diana so she can get a salary.
Actually, that is his view. Look, this no.
But you know, if you see, it's his view. Yes, it's his view. Yes, but chances are, this is also a view he's probably discussed with his peers, and some of them might actually agree with him.
It is not a new view. I held that view once upon a time myself.
When you were young?
Yes, I wasn't born old, you know.
I know you didn't walk out with grey hair out of your mother's womb.
When we are young, we have a tendency of being idealistic, and it is a wonderful thing. Idealism is good. It is the seed, it is the power, it is the energy that you need to bring about change. You stop looking at things in the manufactured way or in the staid way it has been, and you look at things differently. It is absolutely necessary. If you do not see yourself as a patriotic citizen of this country, by all means, don't vote, don't even bother. In fact, go to South Sudan. The point I'm trying to make is this. You cannot have the leeway to complain about things that happen to you when you yourself have an opportunity to bring about those changes. If you don't want to participate,
that's your choice.
It is. But that choice comes with the responsibility also. Shut up. Because we do not want people who think that the participation is just talking.
Yeah.
Other people take the time and bother to stand in those queues so that the change they want can be manifested in their vote. And you sit back because you are not going to queue so that somebody can earn a salary.
But you see, the problem with that is, and I also had a similar view some time back, because I believed that my candidate at that time lost unfairly. And I was of opinion, because if I'm going to vote for Diana and then Diana is rigged out,
yes,
surely what's the need? And I understand where that apathy comes from. Until later in life, just like CT, I was enlightened and I said, you know what, even if I am robbed of that vote, I will still do it until such a time I will say it took me 10 elections to actually get here. But you see, majority of them right now, the mentality is the one that I had at that time. So what do we do about it?
I think that is where the room of civic education comes in. And unfortunately, part of the mandate of IBC is civic education, and they're doing a poor job. But luckily, we have so many avenues to educate our youth in the importance of participating in a political process and not an event. Because a lot of the time, sometimes we think of it as an event, that, you know what, we're all talking about this event, and this is where now I put my energy, and after that, I forget. Case in point, you elect a government, or what we have seen, you elect a government, right? Or you elect your MP, you elect your MCA, and then you forget about them and they forget about you, and then you remember them 1 year to the election. Right? There's no accountability checks. That's why we're seeing all the mess that we're seeing in county governments. Right? The people have forgotten that they do have a role to play in also holding the leaders accountable. And when I talk about civic education, I like what I saw during the Gen Z protests, that people were taking upon themselves their responsibility to educate the younger generation in regards to their civic right. We had people translating the finance bill in different languages to help other people to understand exactly why they were saying reject the finance bill. So I agree with CT that if indeed you do not want to vote, then you have basically sown yourself to silence. But if indeed you do want, if indeed you are part of the people who want to vote, and people need to understand, by the way, your vote is your power. The moment you start to say that this is not, this, I won't even vote. There's a time in 2022, I was talking with some youths. I was supporting the Azimio candidature, the presidential candidate, and I was talking with some youths, and I remember it was in Mombasa, and Mombasa is primarily ODM, so you'd expect majority of the people would be in support of the Raila Amatha ticket. And I was speaking with some youths in Tononoka, and they were saying, hii kitu tunafaa kuiangalia kama bet. Unaona? So kama unaona huu candidate wako mwenye unapenda and you want them to win, ni kama watashinda, hawatashinda, basi wacha vote yangu isichomeke na huko. Let me go with where the wave is going.
You're right.
So there's a mentality that has sunk in with the youth, and I'm talking about my fellow millennials, not the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs are the ones who are saying, by the way, we don't want this way of governance. We don't understand this status quo.
Actually,
but they are the people who have voted once or twice before are those ones who are taking their vote as a bet. And let me tell you something. That is a tragedy. Because what you're doing is at auctioning your future. You're auctioning your livelihood, especially at the MCA level. You're auctioning your livelihood. Because your MCA, I know we talk a lot about the president, but really your MCA and your governor are the ones who affect your livelihood in those 5 years that you have elected them to do. So if you treat it as a bet, then you're just auctioning and deciding to bet away your future.
For someone who's probably wondering, what do you mean treat as a bet? Sometimes you could be a supporter of Liverpool. I'm a supporter of Liverpool, for example. Then someone else is supporting Manchester United.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see that Liverpool is a weak team. I'm a Liverpool fan, right? So you can clearly see that Liverpool is a weak team and Manchester United is the one that is going to win. So instead of placing your money on Liverpool and lose it anyway, you might as well place it on Manchester United, win the money, then cry over the Liverpool loss.
Yes, but in this case, by putting your vote to the winning candidate because that's where it's seen, that's where the wave is going, you're losing. There's no money you're getting after that.
Yeah, because I remember during the same 2022 election, I had conversations with folks around where I was voting, and one of the things that came out was like, "Ai bwana, hii vote utapoteza tu bure. Vote in a certain direction." And I was like, guys, what do you actually mean? Do you know if we all decided to support that candidate that you think will lose, he might actually win.
Yeah, and there are some political narratives like winner takes all, right? The political narratives that have facilitated this culture that, by the way, we have a winner who forms government, but there's still a role for the losers to check
oversight
these people, and that is what makes a democracy because you cannot have absolute power. You must be checked. So now when you treat it as, the winner is the winner and that is it, and the rest of us will keep quiet, right? And the loser is the loser and go home.
Where does the keeping quiet come in? Because we don't have a parliamentary system, which is where now the role that you talk about would actually pertain. But you see, that was another opportunity which was lost.
Yeah.
When we could have had one. Okay? I even understand why these Gen Zs want this whole group uprooted and bring in new people. I can understand, because many of the problems that we speak of, we can point fingers at the group that have been leadership. And the really sad thing, many of these people are the people who even brought about some of these changes to begin with. They are now, because they are older, being seen as people who represent the status quo. But one doesn't see the gains. One doesn't see that we are able to have this discussion because we have a new constitution. That constitution isn't going anywhere. There are people who fight it day and night. There are people who want to water it down day and night, but it's there. certain processes that went against the so-called status quo brought it about. This vote that you think you have lost, it is important because it is what tells a person who says they have won that there are people who don't particularly like them and are willing to come out and tell you through the vote that they don't particularly like the way you do things. Some it's they don't like you. You see, when we have narratives like in this country, we vote against someone, not for someone.
Yes.
Sometimes there's evidence. The position that the Gen Z or the millennials take, I do not for a single second blame them because there's ample evidence to support the position that they have taken. Yes, go ahead.
I actually think that, and perhaps I'll be crucified for saying this, but I actually blame them because when I started this show, I said we don't take our election seriously because time and time again, when credible people offer themselves for public office, we choose the opposite. We choose a thief. Do you know people, when we were going around Mount Kenya, were saying, tunataka huo mwizi mwenye unasema, huo ndo tumetaka. You know, like we rather choose everything contrary to the Kenya we want. We choose the leader contrary.
Why do you think that happens, Dana? This is a good time. You've begun a good... Why do you think we do that?
I think it is based on... I think it's a mirror of society. In terms of, we are actually also propagators.
No, we are thieves.
Exactly.
Don't go the propagating thing.
Yeah.
We are thieves. So we like to elect our own.
Yeah.
Yes.
We identify with them.
Of course we do.
With people who are, but we need to, that's why I'm saying, we need to get to a point where we all agree this is the direction, this direction that we currently are has not served us, and we need to go back and agree that this is the direction we want to go. We have a beautiful constitution, and we have so many bright Kenyans. I meet so many bright Kenyans who have tried and consistently tried to offer themselves to public leadership.
Actually, the sufficient thinking sometimes is not applied to the process of vying for an electoral post in this country. Let me use your party leader as an example. Do you know who she beat when she first won her seat?
Yes.
Yeah, this fellow was the immediate former head of the public service.
Yes.
And had already been an MP and I think an assistant minister. This was just...
He was the deep state of the day.
That region, there was nobody more powerful than this person. That entire region of Kirinyaga, not just Kishugu. Okay? So, if you looked at her chances, they almost looked like it was zero.
Yeah.
But she won. What is it that win tells you? That win tells us something that every electoral cycle, the voters actually tell us.
Yeah.
Because we vote out very many people. Very. Continuously. It tells us that the citizenry is not deaf. It is not blind. It actually sees and knows.
Yeah.
But we forget what we actually see.
Yeah.
However, this idea of change, I will not lay the blame at the door of the citizenry. When you have a people who are trusting, when you have a people who have told you that they have decided to let you represent them, and then you go and abuse that mistrust, I cannot blame these people.
That's true.
Not really.
That's true.
By the same token, when you have a president who is lenient, I remember having this discussion when Uhuru was president, and he's open with you, like when he said, Jamani, now, what do you want me to do? You know, there are all these things.
Watu wamedecide kufanya hivi.
Yes. You see? Now, unfortunately, if it had only he had stuck with that statement and not decided disregarding
the court
pronouncements, then, but again, it represents our politics and the mindset. You've been alive and you have functioned with the political system that went in a certain direction. The mind doesn't change with the constitution as it does. It takes time to regurgitate and move along with the constitution.
Yes.
Believe me, it takes time. You are more likely to go with what you understand and what you are accustomed to. But when it comes to the Gen Zs, the abiding question in my mind is, what would they like to hear? How would they like to go about the process of engaging in politics? It's a question I will ask because I cannot prescribe for them how they should engage. No. They've already shown they understand civic education. They have already shown they understand mobilization. They've already shown that they understand resilience. All these things that you require, they've shown. They have it. And they also shown that they like working at night. Now, having understood all these things, the question is not prescription. to be engaged in the political reality of this country we call Kenya, how would you like to go about it? That is my question to them.
And a question that all of us are trying to answer as well, in terms of how do they want to be engaged. But one thing I can think about when I look at the example that you've given about Honorable Martha Karua and sitting in the deep state of that time, is that it is possible. It is possible.
Very possible.
And and then also one thing that I learned when you look back in history is that the Gen Zs of that time, who are sitting powerful people, is that they also collaborated with the older generation who are part of that status quo. And so now this thing of saying to wafagie wote, let us not work with anyone who has been in public leadership and everything, actually sometimes disenfranchises us as the young people from forging forward. Because just by collaborating with someone from the older generation, you learn the tactics of what happened then. Because you see, the thing is, the older generation had seen abductions. They had seen forced disappearance. They had seen trumped up charges of terrorism. They had seen all these things that we experienced.
You could take it nowhere.
At a time when the constitution was allowing it.
Yes, and the constitution was being amended right, left and center. Yani Moi just wake up and say, you know what, we are going to amend the constitution. And right now that is not possible. But I'm just saying is that for the Gen Zs and for some of us who are now coming into political processes, these are things we are seeing or experiencing for the first time. It is our new first time lived experiences. But if we collaborated with these people who went through this, the Mukisas Kitui of the time, the Martha Karuas of their time, they would be able to at least lend some wisdom to tell us this is how we navigate this sort of person. I actually truly believe that on June 25th, 2024, if we did have some of these people at the front line of this protest,
yes,
it would have been very hard, because it's harder to arrest Martha Karua and call her a terrorist than it is to arrest me, Diana Ngao, who the president does not know, does not care about. But people care about Martha Karua, right? So that is a kind of collaboration we're saying that I am proposing that the young people have to collaborate. And where do we find this old guard?
Yeah.
Where do we find them? We find them in political parties.
And reading generation.
Okay, yes. But collaboration is important.
Yeah.
Because you see, this country is majority youth. So we can decide this is the direction we're going. Yeah. But we still need the older generation with us.
All right. Now, in terms of just encouraging the youth to take up positions in parties, what would you tell them? Because at the end of the day, some might still be, if they're not even registering to vote.
That issue of not registering, it's not that I don't think it's a lack of willingness.
Yeah.
I think
it's also manufactured.
Look, everything that I've heard regarding the registration, it hasn't been proliferated to make it easier for people to vote.
Exactly.
It is centralized. If you're talking about a population of people who don't have an income, to go to register will require you to move from one place to the other, and walking won't quite cut it. I'm simply saying that the issue of them not voting in this particular voter registration, that cannot be placed on their heads entirely. IEBC has to demonstrate to us that they have done everything that is humanly possible to make it easier for this. That's the point, to make it easier for these people who haven't been registered to be registered. For instance, going to going to places where you find youth.
Yeah.
Even if you need a mobile unit, meaning you go to where the people are so that you can get them registered.
And also use technology. I mean, we're using the technological age, and find a way to register these people also online, because the youth are also online. Find a way to verify that this indeed is a Kenyan and register them online. Go where they are.
If we are opening our KRA pins online, surely.
And that's what I'm saying is the complacency of IEBC of treating our electoral process as an event. So they don't pay attention of these other details that, the voter registration, the cleaning up of the voter registry, the civic education. They don't care about that. But then not only they don't care about that, even in terms of allocation, and I'm going to blame this on the MPs, the allocation to IEBC is somehow always cut until now election year is when now they have the budget to do all this, to do these things. So it is in that thinking that it's like you know what, we actually don't want you guys to vote, but we have to register you by law. So let's make it a bit hard for you guys to go to come, that it has to be someone who really has to go. Like there's one Nini, I think I learned in was it Machakos, that the constituency IBC office is literally 3 hours away from where someone lives. So going to it is, I mean, what City said is that there's fair.
Yeah.
You know, Diana, why I give the example of Martha Karua, it's for a very simple reason. One, the voter should never be underestimated.
Yeah.
They understand what is in their best interest. You may not think so, but they do.
Yeah.
They may not even talk about it, but they do. Raila Odinga is a similar example. Broke away from Ford Kenya.
Yeah, formed his own.
And people said, this guy, what
is he
this
doing?
Guy doing? And then he wants to stand like, what on earth is this guy doing?
Yeah.
You see, when voters speak with their vote, you see it. And it usually brings about changes like you've never witnessed before. It is because I've seen these things that I am hopeful. My statement has been the Gen Zs are untested.
Yeah.
They're untested when it comes to electoral processes. But it doesn't mean that they are not a force. The challenge, I think, it's to you individuals who call yourselves the United Opposition and others.
And us in political parties.
Yes, to try and see if you can get them to explain to you how they would like to participate in this process.
Yes.
Not you telling them what you think is good for them. Them telling you how they would like to participate.
And that is why my point remains is that I would encourage as many youth, if you want to influence the policies or the directions, come to the political parties, because that is where it begins. Come to the political parties. You asked that question in terms of where. Come and join a political party. And by the way, there are many times I used to think, before I joined a political party, I used to think people join political parties to run for office. But really that is one of the reasons people join political parties. You need to join political parties to influence the policy direction of the party, to influence the number of candidates that actually go into get into the ballots, get to the point of the ballot, and ensuring that indeed that this political party serves the interests of the Kenya that I want.
All right. Diana Ngao, thank you so much for coming through for this conversation. I shall invite you here after IEBC has launched the mass voter registration.
Yes, please do.
Unikuulize Gen Z wako wapi? Na I hope utakuwa na jibu.
Nitakuwa na jibu.
All right. We're heading to Two Rivers?
Yes.
All right. See you there, folks.